Hey, how's it going, universe? Welcome to another episode of Zoobox, a podcast about nonsense, much of which you are about to hear. And as always, we are a trio. This time we swapped in Michael for Ryan. Ryan he's under the weather. It's too bad, too. Ryan has, he just bought a house. Things to talk about.
Oh, yeah, and probably, we'll just see, We'll see if he can make it.
What?
Next one.
Oh, the next one? Oh, we'll see. Who cares? Who fucked that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, I was just trying to be nice. I was trying to start off nice, cordial. Like, oh, yeah, my brother, he got a house and stuff. But seriously, honestly, though, fuck that guy. You know what I mean?
Basically at this point.
Just agree with me. Michael, just agree with
Oh, you're
us.
a big boy. You're a big boy, man, now.
I
You're
agree.
a big man.
Yeah.
Got a house. Don't need to show up for work. We get it. Yeah, it's been good, man. It's been good. Week's been good. Recording's going well. I got a new friend. Where is he?
I see that. Yeah, you got a new painting or a new picture, sketch.
A picture. It's
the modern man.
His name is Milk. Harvey Milk.
It's my good friend.
He's a nice guy.
Harvey Milk.
Isn't that like a famous politician or something? The first gay guy to ever get elected or something?
Yeah, in San Francisco, they made a movie about him. He got
assassinated. Honestly, you can thank him for the reason California the way it is now. It all started back there. You elect one gay guy, it all goes to hell. Mayor Pete Buttigieg. We have an economic crisis, storage stuff.
We got shipping containers in my backyard, ready to be delivered. I got 64 of them in my backyard right now. I'm waiting for the trucks. Apparently, full of Beanie Babies. I didn't even know people were buying those things still.
Holy crap.
What about you, Mike? What's been with you, man?
I just been wheeling and dealing and making deals, and that's what I've been up to.
Just tricking people. Just
dickering.
Being duplicitous, tricking people out of money. I understand. Yeah.
No, mutual benefits.
That's usually what the villain says. He's like, this is for both of us.
Mike, are you a Harkonian? Is that who you are?
No,
are you a
no,
Harkonian
it's
just
fair.
making deals?
Anytime you guys purchase something, it's you're wheeling and dealing. You're giving them something for something.
Well, yeah, that would be the basic of the basic of just any basic economy.
If we
that's what I've been doing.
If we got to live under the anarchist system of Dan's dreams, like we'd all have guns all the time. We just point guns at each other. I'd be like, how much is this really worth to you?
Yeah.
Give me a fair number, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
I can see you over there with the self-checkout. Be like, I'll fucking blast you, buddy. Blast your ass, you goddamn robot.
Could be. Hey, man, if Walmart allows it, right?
If that would be the place you could do it. Walmart has like a new policy. It's like, you could just fight somebody for their stuff in the parking lot.
Yeah. Maybe it should be that way. Mutual combatants.
You guys like like the nomad.
I got into a pretty heated argument with a client of mine.
Oh shit.
About vaccines in
Oh,
America.
really?
Yeah, but we worked out a deal at the end, and he hired me, so it was good. But we had a nice little discussion about vaccines, and he's originally from Europe, I forget country, somewhere by Italy, some little country, and then he lived in Canada, and then he moved to Florida because this is where his daughter lives.
Yeah.
And he was like making all these comments about like America, and so finally I was just like, hey buddy, like this is gonna work out between me and you. You need to stop talking and like. I just said to him, you need to stop talking shit about my country. And he's like, oh, okay. Because he was like making all like these. He was just like saying like, oh, this country's so fucking stupid. This,
dumb
that,
Americans.
like what they're doing.
That's every European that you ever talk to about anything. They'll always be like, oh, dumb Americans.
He was saying stuff like that.
You go up to Canada, you'll run into the same thing. I remember when I was a kid, 18-year-old kid, went to Canada so we could go to bars. Some fucking middle-aged Swedish person or something. Out of nowhere, just being a dick because we were Americans. Just out of nowhere, just like, you people are fucking stupid. It's like, what? What?
So that's how it was.
It's like I'm here to have a beer, buddy. I can't do this.
But I don't. The one thing I don't get about these people is like, I don't understand why people are so like not for freedom.
Because it's
Like even to
scary.
get the vaccine or not get the vaccine. Because I'm not like anti-vaccine. I'm just freedom of choice.
Yeah,
Like
I think the official Zoobox stance is like do what you feel is best for you, but that does not mean you get to tell me what to do.
yeah, but
You
why
guys sound like a
is
bunch
like
of
so many
anarchists.
people?
Not really.
No, but why
That's
are so
very
many people
American.
in the in the
Yeah,
in the
American
general?
is anarchism.
And we had a discussion about it, like how I'm at a very low risk of getting it, and I've already had it, and like
Yeah.
why do I
Yeah.
need it? I taught, but why? And he still wants everyone to get it. This guy,
Yeah, a lot of people are like that. I mean, because it's just
and
something. It's like a bug in their head, and they just can't root it out. Somebody planted
but even
that.
if you show them like the signs and the data, like they're all pointing towards like
They don't care.
you know, yeah, it's just anything you say to them, they still want everyone to get it.
It's like the same
Well,
thing we've talked about for a while. It's like sycophantic. It's like religious almost. It's a little
Yeah,
like
but
crazy.
Mike, how did it come up in conversation? Like, I don't understand.
He
Like,
was
was he
talking
just
shit.
no? Was he
Yeah,
talking
he was
shit,
just-
or was he like saying
was-
to work on my house you have to be vaccinated? Like, was
No,
that
no,
like
no, no. He wasn't saying anything like that.
then what the hell? You know, like why
It
is
just
why?
came up. I don't even know how he like brung it up. It was like first I made the comment like, "Hey, you need to stop talking shit about my country, or this isn't gonna work." And then he like the vaccine just got brung up, and then we just started talking about it, and like we like argued about it, but then we were like civil and we were cool, and we made a deal at the end, so it was like all good. But it
Yeah.
was just he just I don't know, it just he like brought like something with COVID came up, and then he got into it.
Yeah, because
and-
he said like his normal sleazy European dumb American comments. You probably doing something that most people probably wouldn't do would be like, "Yo, be quiet, shut the fuck up."
Yeah, I was like, what the hell,
And,
dude?
and then
Like-
and then you were in a slightly tense, antagonistic thing. So he's like, "Oh, let me feel you out to see if you are a dumb American." And then, but you had some answers, right? You didn't just have like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, I just don't think I should have to do it for this reason or for you had some logic behind, some rationale."
No, and I told him that. I said, if I was maybe your age, because he told me his age was 60, I said I may think about getting it, maybe not, but I said I'm at an age where I'm not at a very high risk of dying from COVID, so why would I get it? And then he was like, "Well, you could spread it," and I was like, "Well, you could still spread it even if you get vaccinated. It's been proven that.
Yeah.
Just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you're
So
not
what-
going to
so
spread
what
it to
did-
people."
What did he prove? Then what did he say in response to that? Was he like, oh, but like it will let like this lessens the symptoms, so it's safer to spread?
Yeah.
Like what the I find it kind of
There was no really
frustrating.
any good arguments that I could see from him,
No.
but he was just stuck in his ways and.
Well, I find it frustrating. I think the biggest thing about this is, yeah, like talking about because Sean, I mean, I don't think you meant this, and I'm not saying you did. So like, don't take it that way. But like Sean saying, well, you're not making any you're making logical arguments, right? Like about why you don't need it, and
Yeah.
and that's fine. But like freedom, right? Like freedom is dangerous. Freedom is that area where you're able to go out and decide your own choices, make your own choices, make your own decisions about your life and what that value is of those decisions. So when we're talking about the choice, because at the end of the day, it's not the choice, it's not the issue here, it's the mandate. And people have the right to be idiots. They have the right to be dumbasses. Like I'm not saying someone has the right to shoot somebody, but they have the right to shoot themselves.
Yeah, but if you have a position on a topic like this, and you're talking to somebody that has the opposite viewpoint of freedom or is pro mandate or whatever, it's better off just for the sake of trying, maybe even just in a de facto sense, just as a knock-on effect, that you make a good argument. They actually hear it from a real person. That's a
sure.
positive thing. Like, and we make decisions based on our rationalizations, like everybody does. Even people that like do it for stupid reasons, they have a rationalization why they want to do the things they do, and that would just happen to be Michael's. I mean, if you have the opportunity
I'm not
to talk to
disagreeing with it.
well, if you have the opportunity to talk to somebody, like make your argument,
for sure, for sure. But what is the argument? The argument is not the vaccines. The argument is not the efficacy of the vaccines. The argument is not the.
I know that. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying this is for me.
My argument was that the government shouldn't force me to do it.
Right,
Yeah.
and
That's what I told Tim.
And you're using that with data and statistics, and you're like, listen, this is like my age group, my subset. Like, how many people died with comorbidities? Like, what was the number? Do you know the number of comorbidities on the average person that died? It was 3 to 4. You know, like things like that do matter. But I think at the end of the day, when you're dealing with somebody that doesn't view freedom in the same way that you do, right? Like they don't view freedom in the same way. And in Europe, and their very rigid culture, they don't really question. You know, they're not a big questioners. So it's very interesting to see. Like when I was in Europe, went to Italy and Germany, and then obviously lived in Turkey for a while. Turkish people are, what's the word? They're schemers, man. They're schemers.
Shady,
like listen to me.
Shady. You're trying to say
no,
shady?
not shady. They're schemers.
Huh?
Because they've been fucked over by their government so hard.
Yeah.
And they're always like, there is an underground way of doing things. There is this like black market, as I guess you could say.
Yeah, for everything, right? Like
yeah. Like just like there's like more subversion. And that's why like those are the people, it was passed down like generation, but like they also have a very big communal aspect in the Turkish culture where if your neighbor walks over and says they're hungry, you feed them. You know, like that's in America, that's not necessarily probably would be the case for most people. Like if Sean's neighbor walked over and said he's hungry, he'd be like, okay, go home and eat. Like, fuck you. Well, that is just like part of their culture. Culture really matters, and the enforcement of these things. Like, look at Israel, super tight and regimented, and they have like 96 or 97% vaccination rates. They already did their first round of boosters. They're moving on to their second round, and they're already moving to ages 5 to 11 for the vaccines.
Yeah.
So like, they just got shipped, I think, like a couple 100 million, or I was reading, I don't know the exact number, but a crap ton more.
We'll ship them to Israel, but we won't give them to India.
Well,
yes, Israel. Here you go. Here's how many do you need? 10 million? No problem.
Yeah.
Well, they've the factory. 300,000 people old people die in India in May, and they were like, "Well, maybe we'll give you some. You definitely can't have the patent. You definitely can't produce your own."
It's very important that we keep giving them vaccines. I'm all for it.
What?
I'm all for it. Screw India. Like, honestly, the main reason is just because if we're going to do human experimentation we need to. I mean, this is what this is. The thing I was just making a joke because I know, and
we would not give India when they were going through their worst time with COVID. Yeah. We would not help them, and Bill Gates was one of the people behind that, saying they cannot have the patent to mass produce in the quantities and the speed they needed to do it in house, because us making them here and then shipping them over there, it was like a long process.
Right. And I'm sure it was. But like as far as Israel concerned, to the World Health groups like World Health Organization and like the EU and all these other countries view Israel as a really nice experiment. Pfizer, I believe, calls them at Laboratory A. And
that's the best data you're going to have in the world. It's probably Israel, because they have like, what are they, like 95% vaccinated, some crazy thing like that?
No, that's what I said. Yeah, it was like up there.
Yeah, it's crazy. So they are the best case study that the world has, and we look at them and we see all the the contradictory evidence that comes out. That's contradictory to like the mainstream administration narrative about COVID and its effects and how vaccines work and blah blah blah, and they're just gonna have. I mean, Israel, they're just going to be on a treadmill forever, just getting booster shots.
Well, I mean, I think this is going to be, maybe they'll be the Friendma or whatever, they will become this new elite race of people or something. I don't know.
The Fremen. Dan watched Dune last night.
I was fucking.
We'll talk about it. Let's save the Dune talk. Did you watch Dune, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's towards the end.
That was so disappointing.
Hold on.
The disappointment, and it's just I fucking definitely
towards
did.
at the end of the episode, so we can get into spoilers and stuff. We'll talk about Dune,
and then you'll flip it.
But that's messed up. If this was a true pandemic, they would have given India. If mass people were dying, they would have given them the patent to save people.
Of course they would
Of
have.
course, if this was about actually saving lives,
Actually,
yes.
Probably not. Probably not, though. They would be like,
You don't
okay,
think
hold
so?
on. We need to hoard it for ourselves.
They are. What isn't
honestly.
India one of the biggest producers of like?
Yes.
Vegetables and fruits.
No.
Yeah.
No, hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. I know hydroxychloroquine for a fact.
No,
that
pollution.
Well, I know they're also for
Pollution.
fruits and vegetables.
They're one of the world's biggest polluters. So they were. So we looked at people like Bill Gates and stuff. They go around and be like, hey man, we could knock a few 100,000 of these people off. Good for the planet.
Yeah.
Good for the environment.
Tell that to China, whose economy is on the verge of collapse now too.
Is it really?
Fiat currency. Oh my God, yeah. Insider Asia did a great piece. Not to mention, a Revolver put out another breakneck story on the January 6th today on Ray Epps. It's a very interesting story. We can talk about that later. But check out Revolver News. If anybody doesn't know, back in the day, the Drudge Report was usually a really good aggregate for news. And a lot of interesting articles. And once Trump came, he's an anti-Trump guy. Kind of all fell apart, and he became like a Russian narrative collusion guy. But Darren J. Beatty, I don't know how to say his name, started Revolver News, and it is a fantastic news source. And they are breaking stories on there.
Well, they're doing hard investigative journalism. Like those pieces on Revolver are very long and in depth.
Yeah, they're like they're long. Like 40,000 pages.
Well, they're like
or 40,000 words. I mean, they're huge.
I would say 5,000 or 6,000. I don't know if they're 40,000.
There was one I read that took me.
There was one that was like a 2-hour read. It was that the one about January 6th and about the Oath Keepers and some of the people that were there and their connections but
so he's kind of started this new and he just got kicked off of one of the mail, like the email chain things, like the Revolver News got a different one. I think it's called Kicked Mail or something like that.
Mail and Kick Mail.
No, yeah, it might be Kicked Mail, I think, and he got removed from there because of activists, saying that he's a white supremacist because there are news articles out there that said he attended a white supremacist event. Well, it just happened to be this conference where questionable people had, like Stefan Malino or other race essentialists, like have definitely been at. So like there's whatever. That's why he got fired from the Trump White House. He got fired from it.
Oh, okay.
Because of those articles, which is really just saying, like, I don't know how Trump could even, like, Trump is done in my book. I think he's done. But
why? What happened with Trump now?
No, dude, Trump is just not the guy, Mike. He's just not the guy.
Oh, nothing came out.
No, Trump is done. Trump after the stuff about Julian Assange, like possible assassination attempt, at least being planned or plotted, which could be another drop in the bucket. But he didn't pardon Assange. He didn't pardon Edward Snowden. I think that was kind of a big defining moment. Because he wants to get back in the White House, and that really says to me it's more about being in the White House than actually making change.
Yeah, he's a narcissist.
So I don't even think it's beyond narcissism. It could be, but I'm not saying it's not. I just think it's a game. It's like it's beyond that.
It's about ego and stuff like that for him. It always was, though, but it always was, and that's why I've always said, like, if people really wanted to get things done, they would have just played nice with Trump. He would have handed them everything.
Maybe they would have. Who knows?
Trump tried to do that in the beginning of his administration with Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. He was all buddy with them, and they turned on him, and he said, "Fuck you." But if they hadn't done that, they probably would have gotten a lot of what they wanted, honestly. Because he wants to be loved. He wants to be the most beloved president ever. Like that would be his goal. That's where his populist angle comes in. People love a guy that helps them. People like a guy that gives them things. And he wanted to be that.
I don't know. I think those days are done. I don't think that's what people want anymore. I don't think a majority of Americans want help. They want power to be stripped from the regime. They don't want this to be able to happen again, where the bureaucratic state can come in and surveil you and strip you of your identity and then force some sort of weird ideological Like, because that's what's happened. Like this weird religious effect that has come from the bureaucratic state, where they are forcing like everything. Like I watched the documentary on Julian Assange today on Netflix. It's complete garbage. They got McHayden, the ex-NSA director and the ex-CIA director, directed by Gleb Sebeny. And he's like a complete lefty, like Democrat establishment guy. Alex Gibney, maybe Gibney.
Alex Gibney.
Yeah, that's
he's on
name.
actually. Are you saying We Steal Secrets?
Yeah, and it's okay.
It's
not the worst.
It's a pretty old documentary, isn't it?
Well, it's 2021. It says on Netflix. I don't know.
Or maybe there's a new one then, because the one We Steal Secrets is the one from 2013. I'm trying to find the new one, but
it might be it. It was on Netflix. Maybe it's they bought it and re-released it under their banner, or whatever, because it's pretty relevant. I mean, I think it catches all the way up through Sweden and all that stuff, and then him being put in jail for the UK and the fleeing and everything. But I just, when you see McFadden on there, or McHadden, I don't know, it's McFadden, I think. Ex-NSA director, ex-CIA director. The way they paint Julian Assange to be like this, kind of like reverted. He like got away from who he was, like he was this, pro freedom of speech, extremist, like completely transparent. Nothing should be censored. Then he started making people sign NDAs that were in the company, and a bunch of people left. And
it
was wrong.
The internal culture of WikiLeaks, you mean, like how he wanted?
Well,
to
they all
control
became.
It? I think
ethical hackers.
I think
became crazy.
Well, there was that, and he was dealing with such sensitive material that he needed to have some sort of like provisions, some cautionary provisions where not everybody that had affiliation with WikiLeaks could see it, because some of those people would just dump it. Like, he would go through and redact things. He would actually work with governments and blah blah blah. Like,
I think there's been some dispute if this documentary is portraying it accurately, and like I don't know how many of these people were co-opted. Like Paulson, for example. Paulson was a big hacker, got arrested, did jail time. Mm-hmm. Now he's like doesn't like Assange. So it's interesting.
Yeah, because they feel burned by him, right? I mean, isn't that the angle that the documentary takes? They kind of feel like they were left out in the cold by Assange or something, and he did it for his own ego. I remember I saw this a long time ago, so you have to correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't like a big part of it like Assange becoming like an egomaniac?
Yeah, there's definitely part of that, and that how he tried to take control of WikiLeaks and make it way more like, because he was afraid of the people around him, and maybe rightfully so, seeing how they turned later, because all these guys that were, lefty communist, anarcho-capitalists, like all these like weird subsects of society where they converge in this hacker community, all are pro FBI now, pro state.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, dude? Like all those guys from back in the day.
But that's why when I saw McFadden or McHadden, whatever his name is, the ex-NSA director in that film, like you see it and you're like, well, that's weird. Okay, so I went and looked up Alex Gibney. I kind of like looked into like his Twitter, see what kind of stuff he shares. Taking some jabs at the Democrats a little bit. But then you start digging deeper, and you're like, "Oh, this guy."
I mean, he's a lefty guy, but he's done a lot of like, in terms of his documentaries, he's done some good stuff. I mean, if you go back through his filmography, like Enron, Smartest Guys in the Room.
Yeah, no, I'm not judging him.
He's got a new one right now on HBO called The Crime of the Century, which is so ironic because it's about big pharma and the government fucking working together to basically overproduce and overprescribe opiates.
Yep. Yeah, that's
but on the other side of that, we're supposed to just believe big pharma about everything that's going on now, even though we know they do shit like this constantly. Like,
yeah,
they've been trying to medicate the American population or global population for a long time because it's money. It's fucking dollars. Baby.
I have a question. Do you think the Democrats would be this heavy on vaccines if Trump won? Because he created Trump.
No, they would just be
created warp speed.
They would have the opposite, just like they did before the election was done.
I don't think so.
You think they would be like against it or what?
They'd be against mandates.
No, I guarantee. No, I don't think Trump would have done mandates. Most likely.
Yeah, but let's
I
say
don't.
he tried to.
Well, we know what he would have. Yeah, we know they would have lost their minds. I think everyone would have lost their minds. I think. Yeah, like I don't think I don't. I think the establishment Democrat people would have lost their minds for sure, but I think even right wing people would have lost their minds.
Oh,
Like
I know that. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think.
But do
I
you
think
think
Trump would
that?
have.
Do you think? Okay, let's say he didn't enforce it. He just won. Do you think the vaccines would be this big and popular?
Yes, yes. It would be the most important thing still that they talk about. And then the CDC would come out with guidance that Trump would disagree with.
Yeah,
And
it would be
just
this
like
big public battle. It would just be a
it-
mess all the time.
it would be just like
Well,
awful.
just like it was last year.
Yeah,
It was
would be
constant,
the
right?
same
That was the cycle where, to Trump's credit, outside of, I guess, maybe the production of the vaccine, he did what he could, I guess, to facilitate states' rights and things like that. I'll give him credit for that. He could have really taken a lot more than he did.
Shouldn't have done the eviction moratorium. That shit was
No,
illegal.
of course he shouldn't have. No,
So he's a failure as a president. He sees private property from all landlords in the United States. He deserves to be something deserves to happen. But there is I mean, I don't think it's the best selling product in the world. Why would the American government want a piece of that pie? You got to think like at the end of the day, they're gonna make $1 trillion plus or something crazy probably over the course of the next 3 to 4 years. They're gonna grow. They're gonna be able to take that money and invest it back into political campaigns and super PACs, and then be able to transfer that wealth over to other countries and build out there where they can do more testing, more facilitation of stuff. Kind of like what are you gonna do? Like at this point, when you have a corporatism, which is what we have, the merger, it's a fascist regime where they work in conjunction. And now Facebook is trying to get on the heels of being regulated by the federal government so that the government can have access and control to everything on Facebook. The NSA will be able to plug right in directly. And the CIA, like all these companies, like that's ultimately what they want, because I mean, the virtual space that's coming from Facebook with the multiverse type, like the metaverse that they're going to be trying to create, and this augmented virtual reality is going to be the new, and NFTs, you're already seeing it. People are buying private properties on there and personal art and stuff. And you're seeing this transformation of our economy is now going to be digitally as well. There's going to be two separate economies. There's going to be the digital economy, which is going to be like crypto, blockchain, stuff like that. Then you're going to have the physical economy. And they're going to try to use that to keep the inflation down with the fiat currency. They're going to try to find a way to mitigate both. And why the social governance score is going to be the social credit system that China has, and that they're going to maybe try to do here through corporatocracy. That's how it's going to happen. It's going to happen through corporations, that you can't access certain things in the virtual world. So I don't think it's going to be physical as people think.
Or you can't go into their building. Like you can't come to work unless you have this credit score system to get in the card.
I don't think it's going to happen. It might happen in the physical world. That's part of it. But it's going to be in the virtual world where people are going to be able to have jobs. We've already seen this take place in places like World of Warcraft, Counter-Strike.
You mean people are going to have jobs inside of this virtual world?
Yes, absolutely. There's going to be a separate economy where Facebook will be its own world. It will be its own.
That's why they're investing all this money in virtual space and virtual tech. Listen, buddy, I'm just designing my avatar now. I think Dan's already got his. It's behind him, right there.
Yeah,
he's the
Harvey Milk, dude.
Harvey Milk. I'll be Kolchak, the Night Stalker.
Hell yeah.
Just be a picture of Darren McGavin with a cross. That'll be my virtual avatar.
Mike will be.
No, I'm not coming, dude.
Mike will be virtually hung.
I'm not going.
Mike will be virtually hung for being David Goggins. Can't be in blackface, virtual blackface.
I'm not going to that world.
Mike's gonna get plugged into like Second Life and become an architect. Like he's gonna build houses in Second Life, or
Mike's just
or maybe
creating all the most beautiful stuff, and everyone's like, "I need Mike.
Yeah,
Mike's houses are the best."
Mike, can I buy your dragon?
Yeah.
No, I actually heard about somebody buying a house
Yeah.
on
No, yeah.
NFTF. That was crazy.
I mean, the NFTs. Yeah. The NFTs,
Yeah, NFTs.
non-fungible tokens. It's pretty interesting. And I'm telling you, this economy is going to be here. It's going to be here to stay. And what they're going to do is
Because there's going to be nothing left. That's all there's going to be.
is pod people, but the Matrix maybe. No, but I think the ideas, the integration of humans and technology have been going on for a long time. It's going to continue. The idea though is the virtual economy is going to be easier to regulate, easier to monitor.
Oh, wait, yeah.
And well, we've already basically gone digital currency in the United States with debit and credit cards and such. So highly trackable, highly easy. That's why the IRS is trying to track everything you do, because once we get into the online, into the virtual world, and I don't think it's going to be completely crazy, Mike. It might be like, maybe we'll do a pod.
No, I may go into it to make some money, but I'm not fucking gonna.
You don't want to live
I'll
there,
be on the
maybe?
outside making the money from the inside.
Dude, just think of the
I'm
body.
not gonna be in there.
Just think of the body you could have in there. I mean,
Yeah.
No, I'll be like the dude that's mining something and selling it to those fuckers that are in there.
Yeah. No, you'll.
That's what I want to be.
Mike's mudroom there is just going
I
to be
don't wanna
filled
be
with
in there.
computers just mining Bitcoin.
Because this is the idea is that you're no longer going to have to go to work in physical space. So you'll do everything virtually. And the main reason is going to be for climate reasons, they're going to say. They're going to say food consumption. So now that you're not moving as high, you can have a highly regulated, controlled diet that will be delivered to you daily. And you'll have it'll be easier to do doctor's appointments with a thing prick, and they can test your blood. All that stuff will be eventually, I think, coming. That's why I think it's Theranos is the name of the company with the woman. She's on trial right now. And funnily enough, one of her jurors got, they didn't like her. Do you know why? Because, this is true, she played Sudoku. So they removed her from the jury list.
Oh. Too smart.
I guess.
She thinks
weird.
abstractly. I don't know. I don't know why that would be disqualifying on a jury, but they must have found something.
Well, the defense gets to.
No, I know that. That's why I'm curious what
do
the
you guys ever
rationale behind that is.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever get tricked?
Tricked? Well, explain.
Yeah.
This could go in a lot of different directions. Yeah, fooled.
Was I tricked by my government into thinking I need?
Well,
them?
no, not that. Persuaded to a way that you don't even think about the other side so much.
Of course, yeah, it's a bias. You mean creating a bias in you?
Yeah, but it's not even that you okay. Remember the John Gruden emails?
Yeah. Oh, I remember, Mike. We talked about it for a
I
few
listened
hours.
to people. Yeah, but no. Here's an example. I only listened to people that wanted the emails out, and they made really good points.
Yeah, you only heard one.
But I never
side of it,
even
right?
considered. Yeah, I never even considered personal privacy rights, right?
that
didn't even cross my mind.
But that's the power of the framing.
Yeah, I got tricked. That's
the-
blowing my mind that I got fucking. Because
that's-
I would be like, yeah, it's
that's
crazy.
the power of the media when they disingenuously frame stories and don't talk about the principle of what we're discussing, and principle. Is this the right thing to do? The answer is no, but they don't even bring it. They don't even talk about that. They don't broach it. They don't bring it up. They don't even have somebody there to dismiss it. They don't even get into that shit.
Has that ever happened to you like that though? Where you just totally got blindsided like that?
Dude, there was definitely a period of time, so 2011. I was listening to too much Alex Jones. And because I was just man, I need to buy gold. One day I was like, man, I really gotta I need to go buy some food.
Oh my goodness, that's where my parents are at.
Dude, well, when you funnel that stuff all the time and it's just that perspective,
yeah, I shouldn't have showed them that. They're addicted. They watch it morning and night. It's really bad, I guess.
Shit, dude. Infowars all day.
They're buying all of his damn products, Sean. They're buying stuff from Alex Jones now.
Yeah, you gotta support him,
And I was the one that sent him as a joke. Because I sent him something that was so ridiculous back in the pandemic. And I was like, oh man, they're going to like this, but it's going to be funny when they see it.
Well, it's like with just like with
from my end.
I mean, just like with anything, like it's like you got to parse it with a lot of things. You can't. It's really not healthy to just always get every piece of information from one perspective or from one source. It's good to challenge yourself a little bit. Go listen to some people you think you wouldn't agree with, etc. I'm not going to say that you're going to have your mind changed, but at least understand how other people think about things. You know, and that sometimes can be.
Now they're like you in 2011. They're.
I never got super bad, but I remember the thoughts creeping in my head, and I'm like, I gotta cancel my InfoWars sub, dude. Because like back in the day, you used to have to pay a monthly fee to watch the video.
Yeah,
it wasn't all free, dude.
Really?
I paid for that shit, dude. I own on DVD like almost every Alex Jones documentary. Like I bought them all. I was all in, dude.
That's crazy. Oh wow.
I mean, but like I was never like. Maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic. I was never like into it in the sense where it was going to like change everything about me, but I definitely felt myself slipping down that conspiratorial rabbit hole, maybe a little too far.
Because, dude, I got my dad, like not a very tech savvy guy, like sending me documentaries from like 2012.
Yeah.
About like the super wealthy elite, and they're like 4 hours long. Like,
yeah,
what
dude, that's
this guy said.
That's like the beautiful time of the internet. That shit was everywhere.
Yeah, he's sending me this stuff now.
Yeah, now that it's all
like you know my dad. He doesn't know how to do this stuff, but ever since he listened to Alex Jones, he's finding all these
dude. You got
crazy documentaries.
Give somebody a cell phone and they learn quick.
Yeah, but
busting around those.
It's just crazy to see that, and it was crazy to see how I got tricked last week. That was like nuts.
But it's a good lesson, right? It's a lesson learned. You're like, okay, all right. Well, just because I'm hearing it from somebody, maybe I thought they were like an authoritative source. You got to have a little skepticism.
Yeah, I did.
Listen to people, you know.
Yeah, it's just that was.
You could just.
It's a nutty thing that happened.
You just be like, I don't know. I'm just very. I guess I'm a little too cynical sometimes. I don't believe anybody nowadays. I don't believe nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I just got tricked, man. It's crazy. Like I just got tricked.
It happens, man, and it's about the experience of like that. The first time you experience that, like it kind of changes your views forever. You know, like for me, like the first time you really feel like I'll never forget the first time something like that happened to me. So yes, I've been tricked. So one time, my buddy sends me an article, and I'll start reading it. It's all about like this contractor gig, right? It's like fucking contractor gig, and it's like, oh, you know, you can go out, you can make a lot of money, this, that, and the other. And I stopped like 2 paragraphs in, and I just texted him back, like, you know, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, you know, because I just didn't investigate. And then he calls me. He's like, did you fucking read it? I'm like, yeah, I read it. He's like, why don't you fucking go read it again? So I start reading the article. I go down and I start reading, and it's one of those joke stories where like once you get to a certain point, it starts talking about Andy, the anti-masturbation dolphin.
Yeah. Like
that's who you'll be guarding. And it's a big joke, right? And it taught me a lesson. Like, don't half-ass read something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it was getting a lot of people at the time, so it was pretty funny.
Well, because it's like a social experiment to show that most people actually only skim articles, and you miss a lot when you do that, right? Like you're not really taking in the information, and I think that's something. I mean, especially nowadays. Holy shit! Like Twitter has completely fucking destroyed people's capacity to like read articles. Everybody just passes around something based on the headline. Most people don't even click on the thing. They just read the headline. They're like, I believe that. I'm going to comment on the headline rather than the substance of the article. Actually, I saw it today. I saw tons of articles today.
Oh, man.
There's a big Variety article going around with Dave Chappelle. People were not commenting on the video that was released or the statement that was made. They were just commenting on the headline, which was like a abbreviated version of something he said.
I think I got to get off of all fucking media, YouTube, everything. I think I might just cancel everything because this shit's getting too wacky for me. I mean, just the influence. I can't be letting these people influence me like this anymore.
Yeah, but Mike, that's up to you to control it.
Yeah, it's up to me to put it down. It's like, damn.
It is.
I had a conversation with Maritza this week, and I said, "Look, I have a problem. The problem is, I'm addicted." And like really badly to sweets.
Mm-hmm.
So my way of controlling this addiction, because when there's sweets in the house, Dan, you may not want to believe this or not, but I don't have control almost.
Yeah,
It's
they
like
call him Sweetie Mike.
it's just in my mouth, and the next thing I know, I'm like,
Dude, I am in the same boat. You have to expel all
So-
of that stuff from your house.
Yeah,
I can't.
so what
I
I
cannot
told
have
her
it in the
was-
cupboards. I can't. No, just like I cannot.
I
do
can't
that.
have it in the house. So that's like the same thing with like YouTube or
Yeah.
like with video games for me. Like I know that if I get a PlayStation, I get like it consumes me. So sometimes even when I have a PlayStation, I'll like leave it in the box. And I'll kind of like hopefully forget about it
But that's
until
a lot
that
of
little voice
self-
comes and says,
But it's a lot of self-control to even be able to recognize that in yourself. Like you're not blind to it, just stumbling through it. It's a struggle for you. It's something you recognize in yourself. That's a great place to be. It doesn't solve your problem, but like at
No.
least you have awareness. That's like half the battle.
So yeah, so my way of like cutting off things is just not even just like I might just get rid of YouTube. And then that way that's how I control it. I don't have any sweets in the fucking house.
Yeah, but
Because if
maybe
I do, they're not gonna last, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, man.
2:30 in the
I mean,
morning, bags crunch.
I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't get off or whatever. I feel like you do got to do whatever you want to feel comfortable with. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like if you stop consuming, like, because like actually, I was thinking about this a lot recently. I've been reading some Aeon by Jung, and then the Little Red Book by Carl Jung, whatever his name is, and he gets into this type of. It somewhat relates. I don't want to veer too much off track, but if you have control over the matter, like your consciousness can actually control matter. It's so powerful, like you have is it an addiction or is it you just not controlling yourself? That's the question. Like, is it an addiction to sugars and to things?
Yeah.
Of course,
Okay.
there's a physiological response to sugar.
Yes, I know this.
Stuff.
I'm gonna explain it to you like this. So, yeah, I have self-control and I can have self-control for a little while, but it's like if you put the temptation right in front of you, always to tempt you, and it's there all the time, or you could just remove that temptation and not go around it, and not have it there. It would be a lot easier to have self-control.
I mean, for sure, but what is the real moral of your story here? Like, is
My
it,
moral,
like what I'm
my
saying is
moral
like,
of the story-
wouldn't it be more impressive to be able to control
yeah,
it?
yeah,
and just
that
level?
would be, but that would be, Dan. But I'm the type of guy that I just like to
like
get
what
it
I
the
like.
fuck done. Okay, so what's
listen, I'm
gonna
not kidding.
accomplish it? What's gonna get it done is just not buying it and bringing it around me. I can
So what,
spend
the-
all this other time trying to control my mind when there's, a cookie over there, but like I can't be focusing that much time on like trying to because that's gonna take an extreme amount of time and effort to have that kind of self-control.
So what is it that you think you're addicted to? Is it the psychological aspect of it? Is it physiological? Do you
It's
associate?
it's a psychological.
Do you,
it's like
do you
this,
associate it with like comfort? Like you're stressed
Yeah,
out. I want to eat a
I
bag of
love it.
cookies. I'm stressed. I want to
Yeah.
eat a candy bar. Like
not even if I'm stressed. If I'm stressed too, but if I'm just
really, anytime's
okay,
good for
4
cake.
cookies.
So have you canceled out like coffee and stuff too?
No,
Like,
no,
are
no,
you-
no, no. No. This is just for sweets because I know that they're like super, super bad for me, and I don't want to end up fat, and I just want to stay healthy. I want to live a long time,
No, fair enough.
and that's why. But like with coffee, I'm totally aware that I'm addicted, and I'm very happy to be addicted, and it's my choice to be. So
It's your bugaboo. Everybody's got
don't
a
get me
bugaboo.
started on that.
Everybody's got a
I
bugaboo.
hear
You
you.
know,
No, I mean, I'm not judging, man. I mean, I say if you
like
if
I'm
that's
not
what
gonna
it
give up
takes-
coffee ever, Dan. Just like I fully will never give up tobacco ever either. I don't have it all the time, but I'm never gonna give it up.
It's a good thing to be addicted to. It's awesome.
And coffee's just one of those things where I accepted that's my addiction, and I'm okay with it, and I'm actually very happy with it. So it's good.
It really gets
Hey,
me where I gotta be. You know what I mean?
some heroin addicts feel the same exact way, you know.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
fine if they can function and do whatever
yeah,
they got to
live their
do. I'm
life,
for
man.
them.
Yeah, if
I'm
they're living
for
in,
it
I'm for it too, man. I'm for it too. I'm for it. You do whatever you
because
want.
a good coffee and like a coffee routine, it's better than drugs to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think that's the same reason why I don't sit there and like get completely wrecked all the time, like whether it's alcohol or, um, you know, THC or whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like a good rip. Like last night, you know, we'll talk about this later, but I got pretty ripped. I could have done more, Sean. It wasn't enough. I could have fucking ripped. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's you gotta
Um,
just that's when you augment it with Delta 8. That's what I do.
I Delta 17, that's what I call it. I fucking been ripping. No, but it's like it's not to the level where I was when I was in, because dude, that shit that I was doing in Portland, oh my God, man, it was like next
Hey
level.
Dan, you know what we should do?
What?
Next time we meet up, we should get totally fucking stoned. Like
Yeah.
so stoned. Like you know what I mean? Like we get so stoned that we go like real deep into ourselves.
Yeah.
Like
No,
that kind of
I kind of
Yeah.
feel like I found a place in America on native land in a certain state. It's not cheap though, so we probably would have to save up for a little while. But it's like $1,500 for 2 days, and so it's, you come the first day, and then you stay one night, and then you leave the second. So it's really one night in 2 days, you know.
You're talking like
But, like,
peyote,
I'm not gonna say the substance, but it's good shit.
ayahuasca,
It's like that.
DMT.
Yeah, yeah, baby.
I want to go
It's-
on an ayahuasca trip,
it's-
dude. I'm heading
but
to
it's
South
like
America.
it's like legit though. Like it's like 20 or 30 dudes in a giant tent in a sweat lodge, and
Yeah,
like
Dan, I don't know if I want to do this one. I might pass on this, to be honest.
no, dude, this would be like I was reading this guy talk about it. He's like, it's
I know, but I'm
it,
not. Dan, listen, man. I'm not letting no demons come into my life. So you do
I don't
that.
I don't think
I'm
that's
out.
if anything, it's the God molecule. It's the one thing you're born with, and the one thing
Dan,
that
did
you'll
you
die
just watch Midnight Mass?
with. Yes.
Hey, that's the kind of shit that's gonna happen to you. That could happen.
That's that totally
Okay,
could.
so
I mean, it could. No, but I think the idea though is that like it is one of the most violent scare. It's
yeah,
like
some people have really bad experiences, like Midnight Mass.
no. I think I don't
Yeah,
think,
not
no,
everybody comes out happy dory.
I think most people who do that come out better. They may not or come out.
Nah.
They come out different and like or at least
I don't
somewhat
know.
different. It's like shrooms. It's like shrooms. It's like shrooms for everybody's a little bit different, but
Yeah,
and some
but
people have really
that's-
bad cases, but they're awesome.
Yeah,
They're
but you're
awesome.
talking about a whole nother like ball of wax there. Like
Yeah, no,
the thing-
you're yeah. It's next level.
I bet you if they had accurate studies, I bet you it'd be like 50-50.
No, I mean no, they do this. It's microdosing. They do it all the time. There's a study.
No.
Jordan Peterson had
I'm
the guy on.
saying my point was I was saying that like the people who have good experiences, the people who have bad experiences
No,
on
it's
that
not.
stuff is
It's
probably like
it's
50-50.
it's not good experience. It's never a good experience.
Well, in the beginning it isn't, but then it
No.
comes good. And doesn't it go through stages?
No, it's absolutely terrifying the entire time.
I don't think so. I don't think that's true.
No, I think some people have. I think ayahuasca is different, but it lasts.
I think at the beginning you get sick,
It-
you throw up.
Yeah, but ayahuasca whatever you call it, it lasts hours. So
Yeah.
like you're like DMT lasts minutes.
Oh, okay.
DMT lasts
You
like
wanna
20
do
minutes.
that.
I want to do both of them. So I'm thinking about taking a trip out there and going for a ride. And
To where?
You know, I can't say.
Oh,
On
but
here,
in the U.S.
Yeah, it's in the U.S. It's in the state of
Okay.
Arizona.
Well,
Um,
okay.
and it's everything's like you're taken care of completely. They have guides and watchers there. But it's kind of like, yeah, like that seems important. It seems like that is, because I've been reading a lot about Jung, or reading Jung's work and Aeon, and like the ego and the all these like different things, the shadow self, and Aeon, the feminology of the self. it's a terrifying book. It is an introspective work that I don't know. The Red Book as well is an interesting thing. So like really cool. So you have your conscious state, right? Consciousness. Right now we're conscious. We're interacting, and then you have the unconscious state, which is like sleeping. Well, what's the middle state called? Most people call it lucid dreaming, right? So you have your conscious, you have unconscious, and the middle stage is called the hypnagogic. And it's that lucid dream state. You ever been like kind of like falling asleep? You fall like, and then you kind of, or maybe you're coming out of sleep and you realize you're dreaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've had this feeling. I've had the feeling where I can't get out of bed and some murderer is gonna come over and frickin' stick a knife right in my stomach and gut me open and tear up my guts.
Sleep
and then
paralysis.
take it and cut me down to my penis and cut it right off, and I'm just fucked up.
Are you talking about like
sleep paralysis? Get out of bed
paralysis?
to stop him.
Are you talking about sleep
Yeah,
paralysis?
I get that sometimes.
I used to get that a lot when I was younger. Yeah, it's actually very scary.
Yeah. Like I'm
like
I'm like there's a robber in my house and I can't get up. Like
well, because you can't tell if you can't tell if you're dreaming or you're awake. You're like in this middle space. And a lot of people, I don't know if we must have talked about this on the documentary or on the podcast, but there's a documentary called The Nightmare. It's about people that have similar experiences with sleep paralysis. And I had a similar experience that the people in the documentary had, and I never knew that it was like a phenomenon until I watched that documentary. And I didn't even watch the documentary knowing I was going to figure that out. I actually just watched it because I liked the director. He did a different documentary I liked. And so I ended up watching it, and I was like, holy shit, this is like a thing. It's like you see like a dark figure with red eyes. Like, it's weird. I've seen that several times in my life.
Yeah, it sounds like you need God.
I've actually never seen that.
Never happened to me, Sean. Never happened
to
me.
But I have been in the bed where I can't get out, and I'm like, dude, like it's always like a robber.
You guys are just pussies. You guys are pussies. That's what you are. I looked at that demon in the eye and said, be gone. Get behind me, Satan.
You know, I literally have you ever been able to fight your way out of it? Have you ever been to wrestle? I've been able to do it a couple times.
I think I did. I woke myself up once.
Yeah, I can get it. I can get there. It's painful. It's anxiety ridden.
Yes.
And like that's what a lot of people talk about. That's what happens when you do ayahuasca or like DMT. Like that can happen. Like you can get that feeling.
You have a panic
of
attack.
Like, no, yeah, maybe a panic attack, but it's more like despair, like terror or whatever. But yeah, but I've been reading Jung, and Jung is a crazy guy, man. But he's been the hypnagogic I can never say the word right. Hypnagogic.
Hypnagogic. Yeah, it's hard, especially when you're so used to just reading something, you never say it out loud, and then you try to say it out loud, and it comes out like
it's like weird. It's a weird word. It's a hypnagogic. Yeah, hypnagogic. I always want to say hemegonic or something, but like hypnagogic. It's a really interesting thing, his theories on it, because he talks about how the unconsciousness, like, so he believes in theory anyway, that like a theory that he has about how we were created was from a giant collective consciousness. It's like this collective consciousness. It's this psychic energy that was where we're from. That's why we all have like a mass collective unconsciousness. There is something that just connects us all.
Yeah.
And which is why our brain, and he uses like the physical formation of the brain. He's like, that is a perfect example of, you can see where when human beings started to gain some level of consciousness and awareness and critical thinking, that their brains changed.
Yeah.
So the unconscious world can actually manipulate matter. And he says that's the proof.
Yeah, over time, right? Over time. Yeah. And this is something that there's been studies done. I read a book years ago about brain elasticity and how you can like retrain your brain, grow your brain in different ways. It was studies done on people that suffered from blindness and paralysis, and how they were able to literally rewire their brains pretty much through like by therapy and sheer force of will, like crazy shit. Like you take a guy who can't walk and you just make him fucking crawl everywhere. Like it was some crazy shit, and it was a really interesting book. Actually, Mike's sister gave it to me years and years ago. Really good book. I'll try to remember the name at some point.
I would like to see the studies for this one. Like, you know.
No, it was super interesting, and it was about like about like the scientific community really battled against it since like the 1920s, because you had a bunch of people that had their entire life's work counter to that, so they weren't ever going to give it a hearing. And then you had all these kind of new, younger doctors that were like more open to new ideas and trying new methods and blah, blah, blah. And that stuff got suppressed into like the 70s. And then still to this day, it's something that is not like widely.
Well, I think Wim Hof is a perfect example of he's that type of that deep connection to some sort of, he connects it through breathing. But I mean, he can regulate his body temperature. He can, he fought off Ebola, the Ebola virus. He actually got that shit injected into him, and he fought it off. And all with the power of his mind. And I think they said within hours he had fought off the virus, which is like supposed to be impossible.
It could be interesting. I mean, I something like that. It's like you wish you had somebody like hooked up to every machine known to mankind. To
no, they
things.
did. They did. It was legit.
Who do you know his name? What was his name?
Wim Hof. You never heard of the breathing guy? You never heard of Wim Hof?
Heard of this guy, Sean?
Vaguely. I'm sure I have.
He gets into cold
this guy's
water.
like an outlier, man.
Yeah, I mean,
no, but
some people just have.
No, I think it's the mental. It's the mental side of things. It's the ability to push through. But like maybe he's connecting to some deeper
you have people,
part of himself.
Well, that's like if you go to like Hindus, Buddhist monks, and like the things they're able to actually train their bodies to do, like staying underwater for hours by slowing their heart rate down to almost imperceivable amounts, so they didn't need oxygen to survive. Like things like that. Crazy shit. The book I was talking about is called The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Deutsch. But anyways.
Here's the thing about all like those guys, like the monks and Wim Hof, like you have to realize like these guys, all they fucking do is work on this like 24/7.
No, that's what I mean. Like it's a discipline. It's something you have to learn.
It's like they fucking
a lifetime
work,
of
like
study.
They're in it.
Or a lifetime
of
effort.
20 years every day, like experimenting this, that, like trying all this new shit. These guys. It's not like the average person could just do this in a couple months. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's not about being able to do it in a couple months. It's about the power, knowing the power is there. It's kind of like I disagree saying that they're not outliers. They're not. They are people just dedicate themselves
they're
to
outliers.
Other things.
Yes.
People
because they're only. Yeah.
But like a neurophysicist is also an outlier. Like there's like few people who go down and become experts in certain fields. And no matter what it is, Tom Brady is an outlier because he's so damn old, and he's
but don't you think that there just some people are going to be like have strengths in those directions, those disciplines? Not everybody ends up going into that stuff. Maybe they never realize their potential, but there are some people that are just going to naturally gravitate and be better at things than others. I mean,
I'm definitely not disagreeing with that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that every person has the ability to tap into some of these things. Like they have just not maybe like to the degree somebody else can or whatever, because there is no meritocracy in nature. There is only,
or maybe even in a different way. But all I'm saying is that they would have to put in a tremendous amount of time.
That's with anything.
But that's what I was talking about, the brain plasticity thing, like where you take blind people or people that had neurological disorders or people that had been paralyzed or had a stroke. There's one guy who had a stroke, and that's literally has to do with your brain, and it was about like him retraining his brain to use different parts of his brain to control his body that it normally doesn't, because the brain is like such this unmapped thing. We really don't know the potential of it. We really don't understand it. It's something that is a lot of crazy study is being done on that thing.
Well, that's why I think Jung's perspective is so interesting. Because like if you actually look at something like, and you put it into the physical world, something that other artists have used, much like Stanley Kubrick in The Shining, that is a hypnagogic state of reality. That's really what that book's about. They actually, the reason I started reading these, I had the books and I had skimmed through them and stuff, but I watched this guy break down. There's a scene in The Shining where in the original with Jack, when he first goes in and he's having like his initial meetup at the hotel, the Overlook Hotel, there's a book on it, and it says Red Book.
Yeah,
so the guy.
Yes.
Huh?
You were watching the Rob Ager documentaries.
I don't know.
Yeah, the guy who makes him, his name is Rob Ager. He's great. People should check him out.
Let me see.
But because he found he found other books that were there that lead to it
So
being
what do they
about
have
that
some kind of
similar topic.
significance in it?
Well,
Are the
Subconsciously planting in there.
okay.
Well, the red book is in the movie actually is the basically all the important shit happens. Red book, like this is where all the information is. This is when people come if there's emergencies like this. The red book is just important for a hotel management aspect. Like, 'cause I guess it's like a common thing that was important. It would if you have guests show up, you write their names in so you don't lose track of people. Like you're the manager, the caretaker, so you write all these big events in to keep track as you're watching. But the hypnagogic idea, though, has been around for a long time, and that you can tap into it. You can tap into it. So that state, because the red book is Carl Jung's experimentation with putting himself in the hypnagogic state.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you can self-hypnotize. That's what you do when you go into these states of consciousness, unconsciousness kind of bleeding together. That is you hypnotizing yourself. You have actually tricked your brain and completely taken it over to where you can create imagery from nothing. From inside your own head. You're not actually, and you can feel things. You can interact like in weirdly strange ways. It's an interesting aspect to say, like, well, what is matter? And like Mike, I brought up earlier when you were gone for that second, our brains were formed through consciousness. So that's actually Carl Jung explains the archetypes. Like that's what, Jordan Peterson really gets into in Maps of Meaning and Architecture of Belief is building on these archetypes. How do they show up in culture? How did we translate them through history? And what's an archetype, for example, is the mother. Every single person on earth is born from a woman and it has a mother. That is an archetype. It will always be the same. It will never change. And when you look at something like The Shining, what is that archetype of a bad father? Mm-hmm. Of the resentful father, of the bad, like just all this big mishmash of just being a horrible father, like ultimately an abusive drunk. Like he fits that archetype perfectly. And then you got something like Christ. He fits the archetype of the father, like a good father, like a god, or even the archetype of a god, create miracles, do these things. And that has actually changed the composition of our brains. Like it's actually altered
that's what,
through evolution.
I think that's what technology is doing to people right now. I mean, the way, it's a pretty new thing, right? It's only been like 20 years where everybody's had the internet and computers in everybody's house and cell phones and stuff. Like, who knows how that is augmenting our brains? It's rewiring us.
Well, man, especially the children.
Well, you're probably going to see it more because it's so crazy how quickly kids figure technology out. It's kind of wild. Like if you watch a kid with an iPad or a phone or something like that.
Well, I mean, their brain is plastic.
Yeah, but they figured it out. They figured it out in like 10 minutes. How do you
like? Well, it's incredible. Like think about like an archetype, in nature. It's like how do babies know to breastfeed? How do they know? That's where Jung gets into the collective unconsciousness. He says there is this thing that we all, so like Michael, I'm not trying to run over, I'm going to do it very short, but Jung believed that we all came from a psychic force called the collective unconsciousness. That's what he calls it. He's like, that's what is God, maybe. Like that is what God is. This is that, how can you be born and have no knowledge of literally anything except what you were nothing. And now you know how to breastfeed within hours. Like you just can do it. Like, how does a dog know to bite his own umbilical cord or whatever? Like, how do they know these things?
There's a lot of different. Well, some people call it genetic memory, and like, I got into this really a lot. Actually, the same topic before Foster was born. I like learned a lot about that and what you like pass down to your kids, the kind of influence you have, how your behavior before like you have a kid can actually affect their personalities and stuff like that. Because whether we like it or not, there are some things that are innate, there are personality traits and stuff that you pick up from your parents without even really experiencing them. And they manifest in weird ways. They manifest later in your life when you wouldn't see it coming.
So what you're saying is when the baby's in the womb, play Alex Jones.
That's what I say.
He will come out. He'll come out fine.
No, but
she.
it's a super interesting topic, and I think there's a lot of validity, and I think as further we get along, like Carl Jung is somebody that was like, in terms of like a serious academic study, was a little ahead of the curve. That's why nobody paid attention to it for 50 years. You know?
Well, I think Carl Jung is. I mean, he is probably one of the greatest thinkers ever. He's up there with Socrates or Plato. If you read Aeon, you can't consume it like fast. It's too much is going on in every paragraph.
Yeah, that's like
it's
like reading
it's terrifying.
Dense
honestly.
philosophy is the same way. Go read like Nietzsche. Like it's good to just go read a couple passages and just kind of sit back and reflect on it. It's
Seriously,
they're not meant to be blown through. They're meant to be studied. They're meant to.
Yeah.
That's why they are almost the best place to consume them. If you have the good fortune to be like in an academic or a classroom setting that's going to take it seriously and actually do it, that's the way to do it. Because you want to break everything down. You want to get really into
there's
it.
a lot of weird words.
I don't know
there.
Hegel. I don't know Hegel. I'm not into it, but
No,
no,
not to say. No, I'm not saying that the institution. I'm just saying the classroom
No,
environment
I know.
where you can
Yeah, no, you're right.
collectively all talk and get into it and really like kind of dissect the material. And that's something that is harder to do when you do it by yourself. It just is. It's just like a normal thing.
Yeah.
Because talking to
Yeah.
somebody, they could tell you something you didn't know about it or offer a different perspective. You're like, oh, that's interesting. That's also seems applicable, you know? And that's part of the fun, but we don't have anymore. It doesn't seem like, at least in my experience, we don't have active learning in schools anymore.
Well, you know what like a big community is for that kind of stuff?
What?
It's actually in the Catholic Church. A lot of people are into that.
What? Into what? Talking?
Like into like philosophy and talking. Like
Yeah, if you got people that are super serious, yeah. Even the people like
they're like just like even like the kids like way above me. I don't even know what the hell they were talking like at like campfires or whatever we would have. Like
Sure.
Christian kids talking about like deep philosophy and like this is what they like studied.
Well, because
and,
that's part of like when especially you grow up a Catholic kid, you go to Catholic schools, you're studying
yeah,
catechism.
that's what I mean.
You're thinking about the world.
They
in a
like study
spiritual,
those
abstract sense. So like your mind is already primed for that stuff for sure. It's not a bad
But
thing.
what I'm saying is that like the Christian schools, I guess they seem to tend to more to like study the classics.
Yes. Well, at least in my experience, that's how it was. I don't know how it is if you were to go to like there's a Catholic school down the road. I don't know if it would be the same way. I don't know.
the modern Catholicism, like stuff like these guys are, they're pretty gross people, honestly. When
Yeah,
it
it
comes
probably
to, like,
depends on the school. I mean,
Like,
there's still
the-
good schools out there that teach this.
the infiltration of the leftist ideology is very present even in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, it's back in like the 40s.
It's fucking
No, I'm talking
wild.
about. Do you think it's prevalent in like every Catholic high school?
No, I don't know.
Depends
A
on
lot
the
of them are like pro-government healthcare, pro-government controlled organization type stuff. Like they're very much status.
Oh yeah, if you go
in that
listen to
way.
like those like any Catholic priest on YouTube or whatever, they'll say that like Jesus was a socialist. Like that's that's like the new talking point. And you're like, wow, okay.
Yeah, but I can find like you guys are talking about like the general Catholics of
Yes.
like America.
No, we're talking about priests, Michael.
I'm talking about priests right now.
No, I know that. Yes. No. But I'm gonna explain to you. In the Catholic Church, there's different communities. Like why
I
they didn't
understand.
want the Latin Mass is because there's people that are more traditional.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So I guess I was always around
And what is the Catholic
the
Church?
more traditional.
So was I, and so was Dan. Like that's
Yeah.
our experience with the Catholic Church. But we also know, being part of that Catholic Church, we were very much in a minority.
Yes.
They are literally actively trying to get rid of traditional Mass
Yes.
and Latin Mass. They
Yes.
don't want it at all. Because
Yeah.
originally, just like everything, when Vatican II came into being, they saw that the numbers of people going to church was falling off, and they decided that it was because the Mass was in Latin. So one of the big talking points for Vatican II, in terms of reforming like general going to church, general Mass, was to put it in English, was to change things, and then it just kept changing more and more and more. So by the time you get to the 80s and the 90s, you have the Eucharist to the side rather than being the center.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. So my whole point was that, like, I guess like the communities that I saw, they were much more traditional communities. They
Yes,
weren't
yeah.
like the modern. I understand the modern Catholic Church because I've been around those Catholics too.
Yeah, they're like pro-life, but then they're like pro-choice at the same time.
Yeah,
They're like,
it's
oh,
like
it's
really
not my
weird.
choice. Yeah, no, they're just a bunch of fucking hypocrites, and they're just a bunch of liars and
But the
deceivers. But
traditionals, they get kind of nutty too. So just to
no,
let you know.
it's not about the nuttiness. It's just like I'm never gonna be pro-murder, and you'll never be able
No,
to
no, no,
convince
no,
me
no. I'm
otherwise.
just saying, like the traditionals, they have some beliefs that are kind of messed up too. It's like both of them do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they don't, but the idea,
But I
the
would take the
church as an institution
traditionalist
is.
over them. But
I would take the traditionalists somewhat over. I don't really care anymore. It's not. I don't go to church because of traditional, non-traditional is not important to me. But
I'm just
like,
saying the community around.
no, I'm saying for me
But yeah,
personally, like it's not
yeah,
about
okay,
that. Like it's about a
okay.
personal journey for me. But there is a uh, huge blow up that's going to happen with the fall of religion that Nietzsche was talking about or Jung has talked about too, where it's going to be replaced with something like science is now the new religion,
Oh
where
shit.
climate change extremists are shutting down streets, doing this, that, or the other. Like they're always doing that. But these type of people now have reached almost a hegemonic state where there is everyone's on the same page and all these people control our institutions, control our government and the bureaucratic state, and they want change and they will get it at any cost.
Hmm.
And that's where we are, I think. But we'll win. It just will be not easy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out. I think it's about quality of life. What gives people the better quality of life, and that will actually, at the end of the day, all bullshit aside,
Yeah.
all nebulous belief aside, whether you're a secularist or you're into religion or whatever, you're a more traditional person or a
Mm-hmm.
more secular person, I think it's going to be what provides people the better quality of life. That's really what people will respond to, because you're not going to get everybody
And
to
and
agree
that's
with
that's
one
why they will go to
perspective.
hell. They will go to hell.
Okay.
They will. Like that's what the devil does. He offers you comfort and creature comforts
No, but
to deceive you,
if
man.
you
The
have a
great deceive.
yeah, but if you have something that
Come on,
offers
you watch
people,
stuff. If you watch stuff in HD, you're going to hell. That's
yeah,
just
you
Blu-rays.
see things too
You're
clearly.
done.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think it necessarily
Uh,
has to be a negative thing. It's the same thing with everything. What provides the better argument? That's like
a gun.
would be a way to like frame the situation the country's in, right? What provides the better argument? And by better argument, I mean what provides people a path to success, happiness, etc. And one will win out over the other because it's going to be really obvious. It's going to be really obvious, and
I don't know.
that is ultimately what people care about at the end of the day.
Well, yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's as. I don't disagree, but I'd also don't agree at all. Just basically
Well,
the set.
you can't say I don't disagree,
No,
but I
I
also
think
don't agree at all.
no, I agree with you on certain levels of it, but where I disagree with you is like, yeah, for the people who are comfortable, for the people getting screwed, like those are the people that
Yeah, but
will always like that is going to happen on a much broader scale,
yeah, you're gonna, and the
in
people
these
that are getting
systems.
screwed, they're gonna see two sides of a coin. I know this is oversimplification, just for the sake of conversation, but like they're gonna see two sides. They're gonna see which one gives them a pathway to success and less pain.
Right.
Okay, that like people have a concept that maybe if just the government gave us everything, maybe we had UBI, maybe we had universal health care, maybe we had all of these kind of gimmies, that our lives would be better. But as we're seeing in real time, that is not necessarily true. So people are getting to
Well,
experience it for the first time in tangible reality.
yeah.
What those
Did you see
things
the new
mean.
Project Veritas drop?
Is there
yeah.
another one? No, I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, they just dropped one tonight
No, I
on
definitely didn't see it then. No.
Phil Murphy, the Governor Phil Murphy. He's running for re-election, and
Where is he the governor of?
New Jersey,
New Jersey. Okay.
governor of New Jersey, and
That fucking
they
asshole.
they got all their like workers, like a few of their workers, on tape saying that he's waiting to issue vaccine mandates until the election's over because he would lose independence. if he issued vaccine mandates.
Well, I mean, it's possible that I'm sure that's the scuttlebutt around the office. I don't know. I mean, it's possible, obviously.
No, it's like his
No,
top
Sean,
people.
that's
It's
100% true.
JD Martinez
No, that's
is,
what
I
I'm-
think is her name, and she's like one of the top people on.
No, I'm not.
Like,
I'm not
whatever.
suggesting that they wouldn't do it. I'm assuming that's what they're talking about that internally. Of course they do. That's all they care about is optics. It has nothing to do with
Yeah.
fucking reality.
I
or
mean,
whether
if I was running,
Like,
wouldn't you
if
want to
you-
care about that too?
No, because if you thought that if you really believed vaccine mandates would save people's lives, and this is what we need to do to get back on track and get this country back together and get the economy wide open and get back to life as it was, then you would just do it. But they don't think that.
Or what if
They don't believe
well,
it.
what if-
It's like when you see Obama talking about fucking climate change and then goes by a mansion on the fucking water, like on the ocean. They don't believe in it. They don't believe it. They don't believe it. This is just
No, I know they
things
don't
that they
believe
say.
it, but they could just say this. They could just say, "Well, yeah, we weren't going to release it because we were afraid we are going to lose independence, and the reason why we did that is because we know that once we get in, we can't enforce it anyways, and then we're going to be there for so many more years, so we'll be able to do more great things."
That's also a possibility if you think about it in the long term. But then that also is just about their political power. It has nothing to do with
Yeah, I know
being
that. I know. Yeah.
efficacious. It has nothing to do with like trying to save people. Like I said, it's just political
Yeah.
power. And that's
Well,
what this
you're
has
about-
all been about. This is what it's all about.
Well, it's always about that. 9/11, everything. Like,
Well, anytime there's a mass tragedy or something awful happens in the country that affects the country as a whole, that's what happens. That's why it's so important to push back against things that set precedent, that normalizes things.
if we didn't have a federal
Yeah.
government, we'd never had this problem. But it's no, we probably would have. But there's enough to say that at least if he's planning on doing it, the people should be made aware.
No, I agree with you
That
there.
if,
Yeah.
so like that's good information to have out there. I guess they got another video dropping here soon, so that's cool.
That's the kind of work that's important for them to do is like public officials, people that are like elected officials holding back their cards, not being honest with their constituents, having scheming behind the scenes. Yeah, people should fucking know that.
Yeah, I think the Pfizer stuff was just as important to me personally.
Hey, how do I know these Veritox videos like aren't just fake?
That's a good question, Michael. It is a good question.
Well, it's
That's been
I'm sorry.
that's been handled in court multiple times, and
Oh,
they would
okay.
they would have been sued. They would have been constantly sued if these things weren't on the record and true. They have, as to all the the media, the smears and everything. It's just not true. They have put out things that you could argue is like questionable when it came to like the mail-in ballot stuff during the election. There might have been a little questionable.
Well,
I think everyone could say that was a little
Don't-
maybe soon, but it was a chaos time and people were trying to get information out.
I think, I appreciate Project Veritas for the most part, but I think they want to just be treated. They're fighting to be treated like every media outlet and every investigative journalist is treated. That's what they want. They're not asking
as they
for.
should be.
And I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Yeah. But as we were talking about before, like you gotta be wary of things that is. I've heard this term recently. It's called confirming your priors. Be wary of things that confirm your biases, because framing is important. What you do include and don't include is very important into the way that stories are framed. And it's just something to be conscious of. I'm not suggesting that whether it's right or wrong or whatever. I'm just saying, as a person, it's a good practice to have. Sometimes you just like, okay, I'm going to sit with this for a little bit. Let me think about it. Let's see if there's anything else I can check out pertaining to this. Just to make sure you're not jumping into the pool without realizing what's in the pool.
Yeah,
you know?
I think everybody should do that. That's like
It's a good practice.
Mike and his dumb opinion on John Gruden at first, and then he changed it. Thank God. No, I'm kidding. But it's I don't know. There's enough to be said that the media is not really investigative journalists anymore. They're not really doing any like hard critical reporting for the most part. It's coming from the fringes. And Project Veritas, as cheesy as it may be sometimes, it's important work, and it's going to. This is what we need, and this is why they go after people like James O'Keefe and Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, and now Dare and JB, because they're a threat to their power. They're a threat to them, and I think these are the people that we need to support and prop up and continue sharing and continue doing it, because at the end of the day, James O'Keefe's got an amazing voice, and I don't know if you had him sing. I think it's like "Home on the Prairie" or something Oklahoma.
Okay.
Whatever it's called. What's that Oklahoma's famous one? It's a famous Broadway play.
Oklahoma.
Is that just Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because like he came out like
show
he's like
tunes. This guy's a gay. He's a secret.
It was pretty funny. He's honestly got like a great voice, like a fucking amazing voice. I was super shocked.
Who doesn't these days? Come on.
No, I'm serious, man. Like you'd be like, oh, okay.
Oh my god,
like,
he's got the voice of a goddamn angel.
Like singing Ness and Dorma and stuff. You're like, oh, okay. Like you got it, dude. You fucking killing it. But anyway. So besides that, the world is fine. It will march on.
No, I think it's, I've gone to Atlanta a couple times recently. It's pretty encouraging. It's pretty much even in Atlanta.
You didn't have to show your pass.
Well, I was going to get into this. I wanted to talk about it when we were talking about this stuff before, and then we just kind of moved on. But so I went to a concert. Most places you go, nobody gives a shit. Nothing is enforced. Nobody says anything to anybody. The concert was slightly different in the sense that they definitely were. You see, like when like petty people get authority.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
So
much. like because they were checking IDs and they were checking vax cards, and you could even see a difference in the staff. Some staff really didn't care. Other staff were like had a hard on, like looking at the card, looking at your name, looking at your face, like just so over the top. And then and honestly, I felt so gross about it. Like I'm never gonna fucking do that again. I might even burn the card just on principle because I felt so disgusting. I just felt so disgusted with myself. I was just like, this is so fucking gross. This is so gross that this is happening.
You felt like a fucking sheep, being led to the slaughterhouse.
My wife made that joke. She's like, I feel like we're being corralled to be like fucking murdered. Because it's so weird. It's so oppressive. Like, really seeing it face to face is actually a really good experience to have, in the sense that really saw it for what it was, in a way.
I'm sure people felt the same way when IDs first showed around. Why can't I have a fucking beer, dude, just to go fucking, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck?
This was ridiculous.
And I agree.
It's so clearly,
I agree.
It's so clearly performative, and nobody there... none of the concert attendees gave a shit, because they were like trying to tell people, like, we were going through like the metal detectors and stuff. This big dude, he's like, put your mask on, dude. Put your mask on. I was like, all right. Put my mask on, walked through the metal detector, just fucking took it off, waved it at him, and just kept walking and got in line. And nobody said a fucking word. And we went in there. I was in a room with probably 5,000 people. Not a single person, like maybe 3 people wearing a mask.
You waved it at the big security guard? Why would you do that, Sean?
Because fuck that guy.
And what did he say to you? Was he pissed off?
Nothing. He didn't say shit. I just kept walking. I was high as fuck, Mike. I was stoned out of my mind.
I can't believe like you waved it at him though.
Oh yeah. Fuck that guy, dude. It was so stupid because you could see other people beside me going through different metal detectors, no masks. I see people on the other side, no masks. This guy's just being a hard on. That's what I mean about petty tyrants. This petty bullshit. They can assert their authority for a moment, makes them feel good or something, like they're keeping everybody safe.
So much.
What happens if the guy just really cared about his job, just really liked doing his job?
Oh,
really
wanted to do so. I did. I was like, here you go, buddy. Put it on. Walk through his part. Took it off.
And then you got to be a jerk to him. Just a guy doing his job.
That's okay. I'm okay with being a jerk to him.
Wow.
I'm okay with
completely,
that. I'm okay.
Completely disrespectful to the man's authority, Sean. I'm disappointed.
I was okay with being a jerk to him because it was so obviously ridiculous and performative. Like there were other people. That's what I'm talking about. There was no even continuity with the staff. Some of the staff didn't give a shit. They just were like,
would it have made you feel better if everybody was forced to wear a mask?
No, I don't even know if I could have handled it, honestly. It would have been
No, I'm just saying, so like if they would have been like, you can't even enter if you're not wearing a mask. And then like you have to wear them the entire time.
Fined.
Or no, they throw you out.
Well,
hey, if you get seen without a mask, you get thrown out.
We had because they have like a policy just like everywhere. It's like restaurants, public venues. If you're eating something, you're drinking something. So I was like, we'll just go buy a bottle of water.
That is so fucking stupid.
But it was stupid. But like, it was nice to see. I mean, these are people from all over the country because there's a big music festival going on in Atlanta, Shaky Knees Festival. It's like a 3-day long thing, and we saw Modest Mouse the night before they were playing at Shaky Knees. So we went to see like a very kind of a small, intimate.
Were
show.
they good?
Oh, it was a great show. Yeah, we were right at the front of the stage.
I saw
the
pictures.
Gate.
Yeah,
we were right there. Saw everybody clear as a bell. Made eye contact with Isaac Brock a few times.
Hell yeah. And you're like, my son is named after you.
Yeah. I should have.
No, but you should have held a sign that said, I named my son after you. Like,
it was cool. Other than like having to do that, which is just, I don't know. To be honest with you, I really don't feel good about it. Felt like I really compromised myself. Don't feel good about it.
Dude, I'm telling you, get rid of the government. You're almost there.
1,000% did not feel good about it. But
you're almost there.
I did have.
I feel like that when I go into a gas station with my mask on. I'm like, fuck.
Well, I don't do that anymore. If nobody asks me, if nobody asks me, I just don't care.
I don't do it anymore, but I used to feel like that when it was kind of like I knew this was all bullshit, but the rest of the world didn't. Era.
Yeah. which was Mike after 5 days of the pandemic. We're good. We're good. We made it, guys. Congrats. I'm going back to life. And honestly, I think this entire thing is I can't believe it's still not over. I can't believe people are still playing these games. I don't know, man.
Everybody was bitching about it. Like, I mean, which is whatever. Everybody does that. You still do it and you complain about it. I understand the hypocrisy in that. But it was at least good to see people like, oh, fuck that. Like, fuck that. What are you talking about? Did
Modest Mouse stay apolitical or did they get political?
They didn't get political at all, dude. That was 2 hours of music. Solid.
Good.
Dude,
I'm happy to hear it.
Fucking 12:30 at night. Awesome. Got out of there around 2:30. Thank God Sarah got us a hotel that was literally like a 2-minute walk from the.
And you guys was a standing room?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah, your dogs were barking, huh?
No, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad.
No.
Well, 'cause we were just walking around the city
excited
all day. I was excited. What do you mean?
No, I was saying you were like, oh, I'm excited to get back to the hotel. I guess.
At the end, dude, at 2:30 in the morning, I have been high and drinking all day and like fucking, I was ready to go to bed. Like.
It was a good
but
time.
I'll tell you what, man, very quick 2 hours. Like, I was really surprised. And it was cool. I met like a lot of, I guess you'd call them Modest Mouse super fans. Some real odd people that were like, yeah, dude, I saw him in Asheville last night. I was like, Asheville? Isn't that like 7 hours from here? He's like, yeah, dude. Fucking saw him last night. Hopped in the car this morning, and now I'm here. I'm going to see him at Shaky Knees tomorrow.
Dude, they're like getting a following. That's awesome.
No, dude, there was like a lot. There was a bunch of people because we got in perfect. We just timed it perfectly. We were in the group of like probably the first like 70 people let in, and we went to the bar. People hadn't filled in yet. People were figuring out where they wanted to go and get drinks and stuff. So we were able to just go straight to the front and just post it up. And it was awesome. Yeah. But then you were there with the super fans. So you had to like people having like a religious
showed
experience.
Me Modest Mouse.
I did.
It was a fun show, dude.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to go out and live, even though you had to be a sheep.
I did. I had to be a fucking.
I was saying that. So, like, was it like? And the truth is, do you really think this is it? Do you think this is the end of it? Like, they're finally gonna let it go?
I think if a city like Atlanta, which is no surprise because it's like, in terms of relative to like how a lot of like the general population of the black people there.
A lot of black people.
They don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck, dude. Atlanta's kind of wild. Like, people fucking smoking weed. The whole city just reeks like weed, no matter where you go, awesome. No matter what time of day it is. But yeah, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. I mean, I feel bad for a lot of the staff because a lot of the staff, they have to wear masks and shit. But if you're just a patron, dude. I mean, most of the staff, they got to pull down and shit, but they have to wear them. It's clearly that they have to wear them.
Then that fucking asshole security guard comes around because they don't want to get narked on. They're like, fuck, man, I got to put this shit up. Guy's just doing his job, guys. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. He's just doing his job.
He's a big fella, too. He's a big guy.
Well, there are big people
looking dude in a big black trench coat with his big long hair. He looked like Meatloaf.
You know what's great about living alone? I am always the biggest man in the house. I am always dominant of my
I'm always big dick.
I'm always around. I have the biggest dick in my house. I have the biggest balls in my house. I have the nicest body in my house. I have the great taste. greatest food in the house
That's
to me.
true. That's true.
It's only for me. No
For-
pressure.
For a couple more years, I'll have the biggest penis in my house, but that's only a matter of time
Only a matter of time.
before that
Only
changes.
a matter of.
But yeah,
Dune.
it was cool.
Dune, dude.
All right, let's
Fucking Dune.
let's
do
talk
it.
about Dune. So if everybody, we're going to talk freely. We're just going to talk spoilers or whatever. If you guys want to give your just give your 30-second impressions, and then we'll get into spoilers and stuff. So Michael, what did you think without really talking about it? What are your general thoughts about Dune?
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I think like that book, I've been reading it, so there's like a ton of stuff in there. So
Oh, yeah.
I think, they did I think it was they brung in as much as they could without making it.
Are
Like
you
a
reading
3
Dune?
hour.
You're reading Dune right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
What
pretty
page are you
oh,
on?
yeah.
it's a pretty faithful adaptation.
What page are you
What?
on? What page?
I'm on like chapter 3, so.
Oh,
I don't
so you're
know.
pretty new into it. Okay.
It's a long
Yeah,
book.
well, I had to read the like I read like what is the appendix and stuff. Because they have like their own little language almost.
Yeah, all the names of the places and the.
Yeah, and what they mean, and sometimes they like say things, whatever it is.
It's a very dense book.
Oh yeah, look
Yeah.
at that monstrosity. No, yeah. So Mike, what'd you think?
You liked it.
I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Are you excited
So-
to see the rest of the story someday?
Yes.
Okay. Dan.
Okay. What
Dan.
about what was the score? What score did you give it?
Yeah, out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
Out of 10.
I'd give it a 4.5.
4.5.
Okay.
High
Wow,
praise.
yes,
High
that's-
praise.
Yeah.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
What are your general thoughts on Dune before we get into spoilers?
It was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I know some people complained about the pace. I actually thoroughly enjoyed the pace of the film. I thought the acting was great, except Jason Momoa. He sucks. Yeah, I'm with Mike. 4.5, like 4.5, like in that range for sure. I like slow movies. I really enjoy slow. Really, I thought it just was, like that's just kind of my type of film. It's beautiful. Scott, it's a beautiful movie. So beautiful.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive.
Yeah.
So I have read the book. I read it a couple years ago. I have watched it.
Beta.
I've watched it almost 3 times.
I started it again today to check it out.
Yeah, I almost watched it 3 times, and I have liked it more every time I watched it. So it went from like a 3 to a 4.
Yeah.
Like, because when I first watched
That's
it,
pretty good.
I was like, I liked it. I thought it was like big and impressive, and I liked a lot of the performances. I loved the scale of it. I loved the direction, but I couldn't tell if it successfully told its story because I had read the book, and I automatically fill in all the gaps, right? So I couldn't tell. But I watched it with Sarah last night, and I just was really, I don't know what it was. I just really zoned in on it, and I fucking loved it. Like I really loved it. Like the 3rd time I watched it. It got better every time because once you can kind of get past trying to pay attention to the plot and you're just kind of enjoying the cinematic experience of it, it's awesome. It's so like the score, the sound design, like
Oh yeah,
holy
dude.
shit.
I was super fucking high, and I just said I had on like 15 or 20.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just gonna go until like a sound, and then I just went until it went to like I'm like 50, 75, 100. Okay, I'm at 100, dude. My full max. Complete dark in my house, sitting completely centered in the TV, like right in the center of the couch, just sitting there, just stoned. And I was just like, I only looked at my phone the one time I texted Sean in the entire film. And I was just sitting there, I was like, yo, dude, it was great. Jason Momoa's character, he sucked. Okay. He was okay. He wasn't the best, but he was the worst actor in that movie. He was the worst thing I didn't like him. The only thing I didn't like.
Yeah,
about,
I would agree that he was the weak link.
It was like kind of like, you don't really throw me as he just didn't have the, that was like, you're just Aquaman in a different suit and you're just not the guy.
I mean, he was a little bit like, when you read the book, like Duncan Idaho is supposed to be kind of a roguish type dude like that.
No, I'm just talking his acting. That's it. It's nothing to do with the character and the development. He's just like,
he's very one note. He's one note.
Hey guy. Oh yeah, man, you can trust me. Like there's just like really nothing in there. It felt like I was like, I don't know, I didn't. But the guy that played the Duke, the main, not the kid, the father
Duke
of
Atreides,
yeah, Duke Atreides, dude. That dude was fucking awesome.
Oscar
That
Isaac.
dude, when he said that shit to his son, the first time when he goes, because like they're standing on that flowery hill, whatever, at his father's grave, or that grassy hill, and they're talking. He's like, Dad, I just don't know if I can be. And he goes, well, when the time comes and you decide to give your answer, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter, because the only thing that matters is that you're my son.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
My dad's dead. Yeah, I was just saying no, but that was actually the best line in the movie.
Well, because Duke,
it was really
Duke
good.
Atreides exudes strength, regardless. It doesn't matter. He's just a
dude,
powerful person. He's so confident. There's one thing that, like, okay, everybody, we're in spoilers now, so we're just gonna talk freely. But that was one thing I wish that the movie had had ended before it ends in the movie, because they do they like the logical conclusion to me for this arc of the story, this part of the story. If you're gonna do like,
remember, I don't know the second half, so don't fucking ruin the second half.
I'm not gonna ruin the second half.
Right.
The moment that Paul Atreides, like, to complete his arc for this part of the story, is when he becomes Duke Atreides. And
are you talking about in the camp?
No. When Duncan Idaho comes down in the Thopter and he finds him and his mom in the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right after that, and he basically puts on the ring, he kisses the ring, and he says, like, that's kind of where I thought the movie should have actually ended.
No, you're wrong.
Because this next part is, I understand why they did it, because it gets us to where the next part of the story needs to be. But
you're wrong.
I thought that's the arc of Paul Atreides, is accepting his role as being like part of a lineage.
No, you're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
You're wrong, and you're so damn wrong, because I haven't finished the rest of the book. But I would tell you why you're wrong, Sean.
Okay, all right.
Even though you have more knowledge and context with me. He does not, just because he gets the ring and he decides to be, no, that's not the moment. The moment where they should have stopped it. I think it's close. I think they got it right. I really do. But when he fucking rises, when it's rise up, when he's doing that fucking duel to the death with the fucking guy, and he finally becomes the leader. Like, he makes the hard decision. He's never killed a man. He went from boy to man.
Okay,
because having the monarch, like that, to me, when I felt that moment, because obviously in his mind, when he has this like little possessive like dream states, like his not illusions,
his visions of the future, his prophecy.
Yeah.
Although if you're paying attention, you see that
they're backwards.
They're
backwards.
They're not backwards. They're potential realities.
I always thought like it was like showing him like this could happen if you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because he sees himself die. He also the guy that he fights at the end, he has a vision of him being friends, and him being his desert guide. Like, and then but that's not the reality he ends up in. He also sees a vision of him saving Duncan Idaho. That doesn't happen because he sees Duncan Idaho in the desert. A lot of interesting stuff going on. That's what I was like. I don't know what people that haven't read the book, like, how much of that stuff is obvious, because it skims, dude, it goes so fast.
The way I took it very quickly is that I thought it was him. Like, this is like showing the opposite of what happened. Like, this is like, it's kind of tricked, like his brain is trying to trick him or something, so that he has to confront fear. Like, because the whole thing is about fear. So I was thinking like, his subconscious is going to show him that he's going to die in this battle, and he has to rise above it. Like, that's the hand in the box thing. You're going to have to experience great pain, when it's not really him dying, because the great pain is taking the life of another man, but still acting out the same type of courage it takes to, because like in his dream state, the guy reaches and holds his hand as he dies, and he does the same thing as like, he was still the teacher. He was still the like he still taught him that one lesson.
Oh, for sure.
As two combatants come together, and they're both going to leave this cage, this battleground, but they're both going to leave with honor.
Well, that's one of the things that is the effects of the spice is about, like, clairvoyance. And you see that in the character Paul Atreides, and that's what gives him insights too. Like, so even if he sees a vision of himself dying, it might tell him what he shouldn't do. Like,
And the spice is also fucking with his head.
well,
He
that's
doesn't
what
know
no,
what's
but that's
going
what I
on,
mean.
you
It
know,
makes him like kind of. It makes people, but it makes anybody. It's like the Doctor Yue, the guy who ends up betraying the Duke and stuff. He says he's like it has a psychoactive element
yeah.
because, well, I don't. It's not really a spoiler, but they don't give it. They don't go into it in the
All
movie.
right, well,
So.
hey man, just let it happen. Let it
Well,
happen.
no,
Let me
just,
do it.
well, I mean, just the nature of what spice is. It's not really a spoiler. It's just like one of the functions of spice that.
It's a transport through space. They explain that.
Yeah, and do you know why it allows people to do interstellar travel?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, because it allows the pilots to see into the future. That's how they can navigate while traveling so fast.
Oh, dude, Mike, what was your favorite part of the entire film? If you could pick one scene that you could like almost play on loop, what was one of your favorite parts?
Probably when him and his mother are well, they're not escaping, but they get caught, and then they go into the desert.
Like when they get caught.
What do you mean when they're in the helicopter, the thopter, and they use the voice and stuff? Yeah. My favorite part
That was like my favorite part.
It's like such a throwaway incidental thing, and I like it just because of the actor. Stellan Skarsgård plays the Baron Harkonnen.
Oh yeah.
And it's after he talks to the head of the Bene Gesserit, and she's like basically saying like, yeah, you can kill Duke Atreides, I don't care, but just you can't touch Jessica or Paul. And he's like, my desert, my Arrakis, my Dune, and he's like rising up, and I'm like, oh, it's so cool. Like just purely
it's
aesthetic.
Creepy.
Oh, dude,
it is creepy.
Like some people did not like the Baron in this. I was like, oh, dude, I love the Baron in this.
Nah, he's pretty damn good.
Dude, he was scary. Like when that first and the way when Duke Atreides he's like in that like frozen state or whatever and he's like in that chair, he's nude. It's such a beautiful
that was
image.
a cool part too.
Dude, it was a beautiful image, but then like when Dr. Yu or Ye, whatever his name is, comes in. Yeah. Yue, it's close. And so Dr. Yue comes in, and then like he like rises in the background. It's all blurry. It is like that is like some demon shit. Did you see that part? You know what I'm talking about?
No, yeah, when he's floating across the table, yeah.
Like he's like,
yeah,
and he gets like, If you really look in the background, they morph him. They change him just slightly.
Yeah, they like blur it out and stuff. Cause I think part of it's because it might look a little silly if you were to just show a shot of this fat dude floating across the table.
It didn't look.
I thought it looked cool.
It didn't look. No, I thought it looked great, but I don't think it looked cheesy when he did it in his.
Well, yeah, because you got the fucking giant room, the light coming down, and he's like rising up.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
My desert, my Arrakis, my Dune. I fucking loved it, dude.
I thought that guy did great. He was really convincing as this. He
has got like one of the funniest parts in the movie is when he's got fucking Duke Atreides like paralyzed in the chair, naked, and he's at the other end of the dinner table, and he eats the piece of food. He's like, "Oh, you have a magnificent kitchen, cousin." Oh. It's interesting. They did change his character. They kind of strip a little stuff away because he's like a sadistic gay guy in the book. Like he kills twinks. Yeah. They don't really.
Does he do that in the first movie?
No, they don't get into any of that stuff in the movie at all.
No, I'm talking about the original movie.
The original movie? Oh, and the 1984 David Lynch one?
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit. It's implied.
It's
implied. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't ever like get into it, but it's way more apparent. You're like, oh, he definitely likes these little twink dudes. Like,
so what you're telling me is there is a 5-hour version that's out here somewhere. Well, there is a 5-hour version. For sure.
I hope they do an extended cut because I could watch. I want more with leading up to Duke Atreides' death. I want more of that stuff.
I liked his character.
Yeah, me too.
I want like more of the intrigue in the palace about like how they're going behind the scenes, kind of betraying him, and he doesn't really know.
That is
in the book. Yeah. In the book, it's a way more extended because it's like he doesn't know that he's in danger because he was like, oh, why would the Emperor want to do this? But in the movie, they're like right away, like, oh no, the Emperor wants to kill you, like right away. But you know who's else was great? Another, I really love the Harkonnens, like Dave Bautista.
Mm-hmm.
He was so good, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, everyone was really good in it, though, except Jason Momoa should have been executed in Minecraft after making that movie because I can't stand his performance. Thank God it's not very big, but it's just enough to be like, just fuck off, just fuck off. But I would like to see an extended cut.
Yeah,
I would like to see an extended cut.
Give it some room to breathe a little bit. You know.
I mean, there is a lot more they filmed. Because from what I was reading online, if it's true or not, but it was like 4 hours.
Yeah, I think I guarantee there's probably an assembly cut. There's probably an assembly cut that's like 4.5 hours of everything.
No, I guess like the one that he wanted to show, and he was trying to convince that like wanted to
do part one
release
in 2 parts.
Like maybe but I heard that he wanted to do like another immediate release right after.
Well, originally, back when they were originally going to do this, like years ago, after he got this before Blade Runner 2049 came out. Blade Runner 2049 comes out, it fucking bombs. It bombs. That's a giant, expensive movie that did not do very well in the box office. So they got a little Warner Brothers made good on their deal with him, but they got a little gun shy because he was supposed to, I think, film the entire thing at the same time and then have 2 movies that come out a year apart, but film it all at the same time. And that's not what happened. And they're going to do part 2. And I think Denis Villeneuve has a desire to do Dune Messiah, which is the next part. It's interesting. One of my criticisms of the movie is that it doesn't give you time to really like take in a lot of what it's giving you because it moves so fast because it has to. It got to fit so much in there. And also, it is half a story. It feels like half a story. Like it almost like, even though I could see that ending coming, like when it was about to end, I just, and obviously I was just enjoying it. So you just want more. You're just like, oh, I just want to see the rest of it.
Yeah,
it does feel a little abrupt because you're like, it's just fucking getting going. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing is, what else is he gonna do? I mean, it is like you would have to if Dune, you could make that into probably like a 4 or 5 part movie, like 2 hours each.
Back in the early 2000s, they did Sci-Fi Channel did miniseries. They did a Dune miniseries, and then they did
with James McAvoy, right?
Yep. Oh no, James McAvoy's in the second one, Children of Dune. It's the second miniseries. Okay. Actually, if people want to go check it out, there is an HD version on YouTube. I think it's the YouTube channel Quinn's Ideas. Mm-hmm. He has all 3 or 4 parts. 3 or 4 parts, I can't remember. He has them all up for free, HD. Because it's never been released outside of DVDs back in like 2002. And it's if you like Dune, it's worth checking out. If you would rather wait for Denis Villeneuve, see that vision of it, I understand that. But I've seen the miniseries. And they're very early 2000s Sci-Fi Channel miniseries, but if you can get past that, you will see the story.
Are they good?
They're good with the caveat that they're Sci-Fi Channel movies from the early 2000s. Like, if you like Dune and you want to see the rest of the story, that would be a way to do it.
I don't know. I think I'll wait. I'll be patient. I like the way I really did enjoy the bigness of it. It really felt like a big movie.
Oh, the scale.
I mean, it's really hard to say that I watched this on my television. Almost is probably a sin.
No,
like it's almost a sin. Like I'm actually gonna go see it in the movie theater.
Yeah, if I can
because
catch
I think it deserves. Yeah. It deserves to be seen on the massive screen.
Yeah, if I can swing it, if I can get a screening in before.
Dude, if you want to wait, dude, we can try to. We can
shit.
Go.
Yeah.
I'm coming home in a few days, a week or so. So
okay,
let's see. Dude, I'll do it, man.
Yeah,
like let me know
if it's still out. Then yeah, I'll definitely do that.
It will be out in IMAX for sure, dude. This is one of the biggest releases.
It did okay. It didn't.
Yeah, so let's go support it.
It didn't do as well as like James Bond.
It's because of HBO Max. We all know why. It's because of HBO Max.
It's probably partially because of that, but hopefully HBO Max made basically a promise to the director that said it'll be box office, but it'll also be HBO Max numbers because we know this isn't fair. That's like the concession they made with him. They're like, basically they told them, we're gonna let you make part 2 regardless. Honestly, the pandemic situation with the releasing this movie probably saved the movie. I don't know if Dune does $1 billion. I don't.
John, I was at the gym. People were talking about it. I'm just saying.
No, I think
in Alabama, I was at the fucking gym, and dudes were in there like, "Yo, did you fucking see Dune?" I was like, "Yeah, man,
it's a big
I watched
movie,
it."
isn't it?
Well, they want it to be a giant movie. They want it to be a franchise. Because there's fucking 10 books. Like, you keep going.
Normies were talking about it. They go like, the guy's like, I didn't like how it ended. It was a little slow, but it was fucking cool. Like, they were like, it was a fucking cool movie. I didn't really. You're gonna have haters. Like, I thought, actually, not trying to simp or anything, but Tim Pool really did have a funny ass tweet, and it even caught me off guard. He goes,
Nothing happens. I walked out halfway.
Yeah.
Hour in.
And no, did he say hour in?
Yeah, he said that. He said, nothing happened. We just left after an hour, and then he did a follow-up tweet. It was a.
Oh, really? I thought he was kidding.
It made the rounds.
Halfway through.
No, it made the rounds. Like, people screen capped that and were dunking on him kind of a little bit.
Wait, really?
See if I can find it. It was from.
No shit.
Why? Because he was that much of an idiot to say something like that?
I thought he was kidding.
This guy does not respect.
Is that why?
He doesn't respect cinema. This is a guy who constantly talks about Marvel movies. I'm just saying.
I was kind of.
Let me see here. Okay,
I thought
here
it
we
was
go.
a joke.
Here we go. This is October 24th. Dune was so painful to watch that we just walked out halfway through. It's still better than The Last Jedi. Nothing was happening. It took an hour to give us a story that could have been 5 minutes. I kept falling asleep.
Yeah, you don't get the joke? He walked out halfway through. It's a halfway of a movie. That was the joke. That's what he's saying. He didn't say he walked out in an hour. It took an hour to get the story. He may not like it, but that's what I was like. I was sitting there going like,
no, I think.
That's a good.
I think he's being.
No,
literal.
isn't there 3?
I think
there 3?
I think the follow-up tweet makes this one literal. The first one. I think nothing was happening. It took an hour to give us a story that could have been 5 minutes. I kept falling asleep.
I mean, they're within 3 minutes of each other.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
This is not like
I'm saying.
No,
his follow-up tweet makes the first one. Dune was so painful to watch that we just walked out halfway through. It's still better than Last Jedi.
I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
That would have been a good troll. It would have been a good troll tweet though, because he never commented on it again.
No.
So I'm just saying that if that would be, if it is true, because I took it as him trolling.
I can understand that, but I think the second tweet makes it seem like he just didn't like it and walked out. He thought it was boring.
But then again, that would be the crisp of the troll.
He needs that Marvel. He needs that Marvel juice. He needs like some.
I don't understand how anyone couldn't like it. Honestly, like you're retarded. If then Tim would be retarded. I would unsub from Timcast immediately.
Did you guys ever watch Blade Runner 2049? Either of you ever watch that?
Yeah, I've watched it. But it's been a while.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it
because it's got the same. It's got a very similar kind of vibe, atmosphere, tone, like the bigness of it. Also the sparseness of it as well. That was one criticism I kind of agreed with a little bit. They feel like it's a world that's uninhabited. Like you don't get enough time to see like how Arrakis actually operates because
how the people live,
how they live and stuff, because it's always dealing with like this very high level politics. But I mean that's the book is kind of the same way.
I'm sure we're gonna get all into it in Dune Part 2.
Well, because there's way more stuff in the book about the preciousness of water and how important that is to the people of Arrakis. Because like you have to be like high nobility to have water. That's why it's such a big deal when the guy's watering those ancient palm trees or whatever. They're like, this is like enough for 100 lives. Every tree, all five trees is enough water for 100 lives.
20 trees is 20 trees, Sean. It's 20 trees, 10 on each side. Okay.
Well, there you go.
Respect for the people's beliefs.
So that's like the only time they really mention it. But in the book, there's all this stuff like people, when Duke Atreides comes and like people want to see the new leader and kind of test him out. Will he give us water? Stuff like that. Like there's a little bit more of the population. Duke Atreides trying to figure out what it means to be a leader on Arrakis.
Yeah, but that's what I kind of said. Like the movie, it did a decent job at like kind of because there's so much in Dune what I've read so far that it would be hard to.
No, it'd be hard to, but that's what
talk about everything.
It's a very faithful adaptation that feels like there's just chunks taken out of it. because they can't do everything.
Yeah.
But then I was curious, like, what people that hadn't read the book with, if it would make sense, because I can see where they're just like lifting shit out. And then,
I mean, honestly,
and sometimes
to me,
there was no connective tissue.
Well, I could see some of it, but not all of it, because I haven't read it.
Yeah,
all.
because you haven't read it all.
I can say, as a person who's never read the book, never saw the original movie, I tried and I fell asleep. It was fine. I connected with it and just fine. Like, I had no problem with any. I didn't feel like, I do agree that it's maybe hastily in the beginning. It's just kind of like, get here, do this, explain this, do that, and then but when the movie really opens up on Arrakis, I think it accomplishes that.
Yeah,
fine.
The first 45 minutes is all exposition, and I don't mean anything is bad, because I think it's necessary. I don't know how else you do it. Like, having Paul Atreides like watch a video about Arrakis and have that be the way we like get the information. I mean, maybe that's a little clunky. Maybe you could have just fit that into dialogue with one of his teachers or something. I don't know, but I thought it was perfectly serviceable in that respect. You get the information you need to know to like kind of get your bearings for the world you're about to experience. And
I never really felt confused. I never really felt lost. I never really felt like I didn't understand what was going on, the political games, and the stuff with the Bene Gesserit or whatever they're called. Like those, like I felt like that was all pretty outlined, pretty.
Well, I was really happy that they actually spent more time with the Bene Gesserit than I thought they would, because I was like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna go like the action spectacle route. Because the Bene Gesserit stuff is so important to like,
yes,
the larger Dune world, like what Dune is really about, like what the real subtext. That's why it's interesting when I was reading reviews of people that had not read the book and making claims about it being like another white savior story. It's interesting because they also didn't seem like they were really paying attention either, but. It's there's a lot of stuff that goes in there about ideology and belief and the levers of power and people working in the back, skulking in the shadows like the Bene Gesserit do, like kind of moving people like chess pieces. Like I love the line with Charlotte Rampling, who's like the head Bene Gesserit chick, the one that tests Paul, and she's like, we make plans in terms of centuries. Like we don't worry. Yeah,
she's the god, the truthsayer.
Yeah, we don't worry about like these little flights of fancy. We don't care about your life. We think about things in centuries.
Yeah, like they ordered Jessica to have a girl, and she was
and which is an interesting thing, and it's not in the movie, so I don't think they're gonna do it. But in the book, the reason why they're mad at Jessica for having a boy is because they originally wanted Paul to be a girl, so that Paul could, or the girl version of Paul could marry a Harkonnen, and that would actually maybe be the prophet, like the prophecy fulfilled. Mm-hmm. But Jessica takes it upon herself to say like, no, I don't need to do that, because she talks about it like we've been crossing bloodlines for thousands of years to try to produce this person.
Yes.
Well, the Bene Gesserit can control XY chromosome she decided to have a man.
She decided to have a boy because she believes that she was going to produce
I have the evidence on my side. I completely believe. Have you met this man?
I can't remember the name. It's like the Quasaric Hadish or something, like the name of the savior or whatever there was going to be.
This is probably a dumb question, but I don't know it, so I'm going to ask it. Why does the Emperor want to kill them after putting them there?
Because
I'm not just according to the movie.
I want to hear your speculation. Yeah, what do you think?
My speculation: the Emperor wants to kill it because the Atreides is a very powerful family. They have a good leader, and it seems like Paul would be taking on. Like that's the kind of the vibe that they make you feel anyway. Like to me, like the Emperor must perceive the Atreides as some strong, standing threat. That's why when they allude.
No, I was gonna say yes, you're correct. Like he basically sends them there to die, knowing that the Harkonnens would never give up Arrakis, and that it would be a big fight because he's a threat to the throne, basically. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why Duke Leto is there. He doesn't like spice is a thing because he needs it for financial stability, but it's really about making concert with the Fremen. He wants the power of the Fremen people because
Yeah.
he wants him to basically be his army. And he knows that this is a long-term plan that maybe Paul will actually be the one. You know, it's about his name. It's about his legacy. Like
His
that's
legacy.
That's what he's thinking
So
about.
he himself is skulking through the shadows
A little bit.
But there is, but then again, bringing peace and prosperity to the Fremen, and then also allowing them to be his slave workers, just like we're trying to do with Mexicans at the southern border. It makes perfect sense.
Well, that's why they say the lines. Zendaya has that opening monologue with the voiceover, and she's like, "Who will be our next oppressor?" Like that's part of the subtext of Dune as a series.
Yeah.
Is that saviors come and go, kings come and go, but it's the people on the ground that actually feel the weight of those things. That's like part of the subtext of the story.
War and everything, and all the stuff, and
just
conquering
war,
people.
control. What you find valuable is life more valuable. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why Dr. Liet Kynes, the lady who takes them on the tour, she actually has sympathy for the Atreides because she sees Duke Leto save the people working in the spice mine rather than save the spice. Like that's something she's like, oh, and in the book it's much more like apparent that's why that character feels that way. It actually makes her turn a little bit from the Emperor because you're like, oh, this is a good man. This is a good person, good family.
Well, because I thought the foreshadowing was there right from the beginning. Some of the very first scenes in the movies where, because like watching, I was a little confused. I'm like, is this guy giving up his home? Because I didn't know what Atreides was, Arrakis. Like I didn't know, So like I was like, does he have to give up something? And then it comes into picture. But there is the foreshadowing comes from his father or the grandfather of Paul, where how does he die? He dies fighting bulls. And I think there's something inherent in their blood or like genealogical sense where they're alluding to that you're going to take on a great enemy.
Yeah.
And that but this time Paul will be ready because Atreides learned from his father's mistakes, the Duke anyway, and learned of his father's mistakes and then learned that you can't always fight every bull that you come across, and you have to be a little bit more methodical. And maybe if I'm not in the right position to take on the bull, I will gather my strength, my resources, maybe, convince the Emperor to let me go. You know what I mean? Like it kind of, and then Paul would be the unification of those two ideas, those two sides. That's what I saw. I'm a genius, but that's just,
I wish you guys had finished it. I would love to just talk to you guys about the whole story, but
maybe I should read it.
I don't want to fuck. You got a couple years, Dan. You could.
I could. You
got at least. You got at least 2 years.
Just start doing it.
You got.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should, man. I mean, from what I actually really enjoyed the world. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed everything really about it, and it really pisses me off that George Lucas fucking ripped him off and did it poorly. Honestly, like did a really bad job of doing it.
Well, I mean, take some things.
Like no. He did awful job.
Well,
awful.
It's Star Wars. Some of Star Wars is like Dune without the subtlety or nuance. It's just like a straightforward adventure serial version of this, but it's almost like George Lucas misunderstood. Like, and it's hard to talk about because you guys don't know the whole story, but he just misunderstands the material in a way that's oversimplified it.
I understand that he's the Messiah of some sort. That's what I know. He's obviously he's becoming some sort of like figure, and he says to his mother, she's like, you need to get off the planet, and he's like, no, my way is into the desert or whatever.
Yeah, my future
is
in
be
the desert.
He's gonna be some Messiah. It's cool,
But cool. Is he, Dan? Or is he?
I don't know. I don't know. I would say probably yes. Yes,
well,
he might be.
We'll find out.
I mean, obviously,
100%.
I think he would be the Messiah because this is one of those typical archetypical. It's an archetype. It's like to me, it would be stupid. But then, like, because listen, unless Villanueva, whatever his fucking name is, doesn't make the next one, and decided to hire Nicholas Winding Refn or whatever his name is,
Nicholas Winding
Refn to direct the second one, then I would probably agree with you. If it was like, oh yeah, dude, he's no longer the Messiah. It's like because that guy likes to ruin everything that he touches. So.
No, it's just not. It's not a simple story like that. It's not. It's actually it plays with the concepts that you're talking about, and it knows what you're saying. The book is aware. It's like self-aware in that way. The story is self-aware. Frank Herbert was making a much deeper commentary about belief and lineage and loyalty and lots of other stuff. It's a way more. It's just not. It's a very interesting take, and I'm glad I can see that the seeds have been set in part one. So I am confident that Villeneuve understands the book. Like, he understood the book and what the book is actually about, and it was very apparent having read the book. So I was glad. I was happy.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I feel like I could get really, really high and watch it again and still enjoy it.
It might happen.
It might happen.
Happen.
I think you should. You can't just start. I was gonna start it before, like, I started it. Like, I got 10 minutes in. I was like, I can't watch this and break it up.
Yeah, you gotta restart, dude.
I'm gonna go restart. Like, I was like, I'm gonna come do this, and I didn't want to watch it only for an hour.
Hit the restart button,
dude. I'm telling you, that fucking scene though, the best scene in the film, is probably that fight scene at the end. Like, that shit to me was by far the most profound, like, shit in the entire, like, when he fucking, like, is raw, like, in that voice, that fucking Bene Gesserit chick comes on, she's like, she will rise up now, and he just fucking, like, does this cool little move and just, like, stabs him in the spine.
Yeah, how about the mother? That lady.
Woo!
With just
dude.
Rebecca Ferguson, she's good.
Oh,
actress.
and there was that moment where, like, they're like
she
running.
was my favorite.
And they get up to the rock, and they have to, like, strip off. And there's this weird moment where she, like, looks at him when he takes this, because he doesn't give a fuck, right? You know, he's a man, like, kind of, he's like becoming a man. And I'm like, is she, like, getting turned on? There was a little weird moment there, but no, but I was saying, like,
weird moment.
but she just, like, I was like, I mean, obviously she's in awe, like, of him, a man. He's like a man now. Like, she's seeing him become a man, a true leader. He's taking charge. He's not afraid, you know. And he's meeting all these, like, expectations and goals where a man of his age, I believe he's supposed to be only, like, what, 16 probably, 17, 18,
he's supposed
like,
to be like 17, 18, something like that. Yeah.
I thought he was 15.
In the book, he might be 15. I think they aged him up a little bit. In the movie.
Okay, well, I mean, let's say he's 15.
In the book, yeah.
I mean, this guy's ripping. He's a skinny bastard, but he's ripping.
He's like one of these. He's like Tom Holland, the Spider-Man kid. He's just gonna look like he's 17 forever, and it creeps you out the older he gets.
I figure you were excited to see him in there because of the King. I know you like the King.
Oh, I love the King. That was great, and he was very well cast in the King. Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of I figured it was a thing to make you happy.
I don't like people don't like that kid, Timothée Chalamet. I think he's fine. I don't.
I think he's very neutral. There's a very neutral sense about him. I wouldn't say it's like one way or the other. Like, I don't think he's just not.
Which is
expressive.
It's appropriate for the character of Paul Atreides, though. Like, in the movie, like, that's how, because it's like he's like a audience insert character. Like, they want you to project yourself onto him and his journey. You know, like, so he is kind of an empty vessel a little bit, like, emotionally.
But also, he's been, you know, he's just confused. He's just a guy. He's gonna change his gender. It's gonna be cool. We're all gonna be cool, man.
Cool as shit, dude.
He's gonna shack up with a fucking ethnically diverse chick.
Zendaya.
It's gonna be fucking sick. They're gonna have little mixed race babies. Then they're gonna sacrifice them to the sun gods, because that's what you do with mixed race babies, because they're dirty.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
What else are you gonna do?
No, I'm kidding, Mike. I'm kidding, obviously, because Mike's sitting there. Hey, man. No.
Did you guys ever think about the fact that when they're wearing those still suits, that they're constantly, like, peeing and pooping in there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they are. It does transfer all the.
Yeah, it takes all the moisture out.
It doesn't do poop though. What does it do with poop? Do you think they have like a poop bag maybe in the back?
Breaks it down and turns it into water. No. You drink your own sweat and pee and poo.
I don't know if you drink poo though. Does it because I imagine what it does. There's probably a receptacle in the back, and then you poop into it, and then it, like, compresses and takes all the water out of it, and then it probably, like, just, you know, you probably pull a little flap and the poop just falls out. You know what I mean? Like, or something. Like,
and you hear that music, the desert music. Lamentation.
I just kept thinking Indiana Jones too when I was watching it for some reason. I'm like, dude, if they had the technology to film an Indiana Jones, like,
they did, Dan, and they did horrible.
Epic. So. No, but I mean, like, really go for it they could make Indiana Jones epic.
They did go for it. Have you seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, dude?
No, you're missing my point with the modern technology. Like they could really go for it, like make it even like crazier.
How dare you?
I don't
Indiana
know.
Jones is perfect as it is.
It is great. Don't get me wrong. I love those movies. I'm just saying, like, I just can imagine.
Well,
Maybe it would be worse. Maybe it would be worse.
I don't even know if you could make a movie like Indiana Jones today. I don't even know if they would allow it. They'd be like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
Indiana Jones has to be like the way it is. It can't be modern.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's
how the books are. The books are like the movies.
No, you're missing the technology. That's all I'm talking about. Like, the technology of filming. Like,
we don't need it. It fucking sucks.
Did you see
that guy was doing all that
shit? You see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, dude?
No, but listen, that is a problem. Yes, yes.
Remember when the giant it gets big because this giant alien spaceship at the end coming out of the.
It's kind of sick.
That movie sucks.
It does.
I actually saw someone rating the movies, and they put Temple of Doom as the worst one, and I was like,
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know. I don't agree with that.
Is the Temple of Doom when they do Galima Shark today?
Galima Shakti.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Who the hell said that? That guy needs to be punched.
My favorite.
That's
my favorite.
My favorite.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, Crystal Skull. That's my ranking.
Where can you watch those?
They used to be on Netflix.
They just had to shut down the production of this one until like 2022 because Harrison Ford got so fucked up.
Keeps spraining his ankles.
No,
I heard that he hurt himself really bad, and they basically had to rewrite the script. Actually, funnily enough, same thing happened on The Force Awakens. He broke his fucking leg coming out of the Millennium Falcon, and they had to like reduce his role in the movie.
Good. God is trying to tell him something. Stop waking these characters up from the dead.
I know.
Just
let
let
leave
them
it alone.
die.
Dude. You're 80 years old. Stop.
It's not his. I bet he's like, what's another 25, 30 million? You know, what else can I buy if this is my last 2 good years? And honestly, he's like, inflation's coming. I need to invest in gold. He's been listening to Alex Jones. Yeah. Like, he's a huge Alex Jones guy. That dude's probably into vaccine mandates.
Well, he's really funny because he reminds us of the director John Carpenter. I remember when he was in Force Awakens and they were doing all the press tour for it, and everybody's like, so Harrison, like, what was it like coming back to Star Wars after all these years? Like, why did you agree to do it? He's like, because they said they'd pay me lots of money. Like, that was his answer, and I think he meant it. Like, he didn't give a fuck.
How much do you think he got paid?
A lot of money. A lot. Probably like 20 million.
You're gonna say 20?
I'd say probably around 20 million.
I think more.
18
I'm
to 20.
I think more.
18 to 25.
I'm gonna go say no, Sean. You can't do that. You said 20. You're at 20. Okay, 18 to 25.
Okay,
Mike,
20. I'll go.
Give
20.
me a number.
I'm gonna say it was 30.
I was going to say 35. That's what I was gonna say. How much are pay salary Harrison Ford? Let's see.
But that's the same thing John Carpenter says because when they started making new Halloween movies, John Carpenter directed the original in like 1978, and he's like, "How do you feel about like Halloween coming back and being taken seriously again?" And blah. He's like, "It's great. Those checks keep coming."
I mean, yeah.
$20 million. So Sean was right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sean was right on the money.
That's a lot of fucking money, dude. That's a lot of money.
But if you include, he also got a cut of the earnings, too.
Probably the earnings. He probably had a great back end deal. They probably all did. I bet you
my
all the original cast members did.
We were all wrong then, because he with 0.5% of sales total, he got anywhere between 20 to 27 million.
Yeah, on top, yeah. Well, that's like you know who had one of the best back end deals ever was Jack Nicholson for Batman '89. Jack Nicholson made a deal that Warner Brothers had to pay him every single time the Batman logo was like on anything. He got a piece of all the toys, all the merchandise, everything.
Still.
I don't know if it's still in perpetuity. It's still going on, but I know it was like the early 2000s. There's like, if you go when they re-released the movies, they put out like the special editions. They had like little making ofs, and at that time it was like 2005. He was still getting it because he was laughing about it in the documentary.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
Because all of his friends gave him shit. They're like, Jack, you're gonna go be in this stupid superhero movie. He's like, listen, you don't understand. You don't know the top on this thing. This thing could be huge.
Yeah.
Like he tells the
Dude,
story
do you know-
about it in the like him standing next to one of his friends at the Academy Awards at the urinal, and they're talking about it. He's like, "You don't know, man. You don't know what the top of this could be, like money wise." So funny.
Well, do you know he? It's like kind of like Robert Downey Jr. Dude got a fucking. He didn't get 0.5%. He got like 5%. Like
It's something ridiculous, and he did it. But he got that deal when he made
every movie he was in.
Well, he did that deal when he made the first Iron Man because it was considered a gamble for him to sign on to this giant contract for all these movies. He said, "I'll do it, but I want money off of every fucking Marvel movie." I don't even think it's just movies he's in.
No, it's every Marvel movie he gets a cut.
I think he gets a little piece of every Marvel movie. Yeah, that guy's sitting.
And I think up until Endgame, dude, that guy. If I'm not mistaken, I think I read that he is like. Over the last 15 years it's been going on, it was something like 120 million. Like,
wow. Easy.
And that's outside of his salary that he gets paid for each movie. So he's probably made 200 million.
What does somebody like James Bond get paid?
Dude, hold on. You know how much Robert Downey Jr. is worth right now? As of September 14th.
Can I guess?
Guess.
440 million.
300 million.
Wow.
Tom Cruise, you know how much Tom Cruise's net worth is?
Oh, he's probably worth at least $500 million.
$600 million.
All because of those fucking goddamn Mission Impossible movies, man.
How much does he make off of that one, you think?
Oh, he's a producer. He's he gets a lot, I imagine.
Bruce Willis.
Dude, think how much money that is.
Dude, Bruce Willis is worth $250 million.
And he just makes shit movies because he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's got that ego. He's like, I got to be in front of that camera.
Dude, Tom Cruise is almost a billionaire. That's crazy.
Well, that's your net worth. That's like all of your assets, everything about you.
I bet Robert Downey Jr. has got like probably 80 million hard cash.
Yeah, probably like that's like he has access to probably.
Yeah, like say 80 million. Oh, the last thing we got to talk about, just saying, I want to explain to you what the government is going to do to fuck you. And I just want to say it very quickly, very shortly.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of unrealized capital gains? Have you ever heard this term?
Yes. Yeah. Well, over the past few days, yeah.
Okay, so unrealized capital gains. So let's say this. I buy one share at $100, right? Okay. So I buy one share at $100. The day after I buy the share, it drops 5%. So now my share is worth $95, right? So I've lost $5. I'm down 5%. But let's say the next day after that, it rises to one share is worth $105. So I made a 5% increase, right? So that is my unrealized gain. So like, let's say my median is the 100. I drop down. Now when that goes up to 105, technically, okay, I increased my evaluation of the stock. I've made 10% more money, right? So under the federal government can't tax you on the first 5%, right? Because that's the way they look at it. They go, okay,
you're taking a risk buying a stock. So if you get something from it, it's your boon, but you could also lose it. So yeah.
Well, right, but their idea is they can't. So this is the shady part that people are arguing. So companies would go buy stock, because check this out. This is very smart. It's a really smart way to launder money. It's a really smart way to launder money. So it's called unrealized capital gains. Okay, so you raised that 10%, went up, right, from 95 to 105. You only get taxed on the top 5%. So that from 100 to 105, you get taxed on that 5% because that's your gain.
That's your gain.
And the 5% below that 95 to 100 is your unrealized gains. Basically the gains that you weren't expected to make.
Yes.
Right? So the Fed now is, and Janet Yellen is the Secretary of Treasury. She is going to be going after your unrealized gains.
It's like
so that means
it's like a double tax.
It means so you invest
you're gonna lose money.
No,
you're gonna pay them.
What corporations will do? Check it out. They will dump $100 million into a stock, knowing it's going to go down because they got an announcement. Announcement goes down. It's a little thing. They lose like, let's say 5% of valuation. Kind of like Facebook. Everybody knew this story was coming out today. like about like all this bull crap, and they dropped for 3%. So people who bought in, right, it went down, but they know it's going to go back up. So they can invest money, and that 3% that it fell, that money's not going to be touched when it goes to, like 20% more in 6 months. It's just, so that 3% is a protected asset. It doesn't really get fucked with as much. And so now they're saying they're going to go after unrealized capital gains tax.
Yeah, and they're taxing you before you actually make a profit. It's like theoretical because like you have to sell it to make a profit. That's usually when you would get taxed on something, is when you sell something, and they want to tax you before you sell it. So it's like a triple tax. It's like kind of crazy.
Yeah, and then the thing is, very, very quickly, is the stock market is probably one of the most dangerous places and also most profitable places in the world for everybody. But now a little guy like you, Mike, the amount of transactions you're going to have to keep track of, reporting, this is why they want, because they want to go to a completely digital currency. That's why they want to have all this tightly regulated stuff. So I say, people, be wary, be on the lookout. If you have money in the stock market, just pay attention to those things. Things will probably change. Reporting procedures could change. And it's something to be wary of, because technically now they're taxing money that you lose.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of,
that's crazy.
I mean, nobody's, there's very few people that think this is a good idea. Even people that you would think would be sympathetic to the Biden administration that always provide cover and stuff. Even they're like, this is unconstitutional. It's going to be a mess. Like, how the fuck do you even regulate this? Or how do you, like, you're basically like taxing people on a potentiality. Like it's, it's not.
Well, it's not even. Well, the thing is, like, the crazy part is they tax you for your paycheck, for your work, and then they tax you when you go risk your money.
Yes.
And if that's the crazy.
Well, because
part.
they're trying to sell this as a way to tax the rich. This is how we're going to tax the rich, but it's not just the rich. It's anybody that fucking invests in stock. It's everybody.
Yes.
A lot of little people, a lot of mid-level, middle-class people would get royally fucked by this.
Well, all these guys on Twitter that are tracking all of the money that the Congress people are making off of stocks, like Nancy Pelosi, like they're getting cease and desist letters, like telling them to stop talking about their portfolios and their stocks.
They're public figures, dude.
Well,
they're not public figures. I mean, they're
elected
public officials.
They're public servants.
Well, that's what I mean. A public figure could be any, like, we could technically in some weird way be public figures. I mean, like, they are public servants. They're elected officials.
Yeah.
They should be financial transparency, because this could lead to, what do you call it? Like, just people being bought off or whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, go check it out.
It affects the integrity of their job.
Go read Revolver News about Ray Epps. You'll have some stuff, interesting stuff to read there. I recommend it.
I would agree. For sure.
Go watch Dune.
Go check
it out.
Go watch Dune.
If you don't have
everybody.
If you go get HBO Max, email HBO saying the only reason I got this was to watch Dune, to make them feel warm and fuzzy about making the second one, because I need this.
I need this in my life immediately.
Because when I'm in my pod, my VR, and I'll be watching it in VR with like Cheetos all over me, and like got my little fucking Coke like tube.
Oh, don't worry, sir. Don't worry, sir. The Cheeto dust will be real. It will be real.
Yeah. Yes. The BO will be real. That will be real.
Dan, do you know what I'm gonna do?
What?
When you do that?
What?
I'm gonna come over your house, dude. And I'm gonna give you the biggest ball tap you've ever had.
I thought you were like, I'm gonna come over and just suck your dick when you ain't looking.
I thought he was gonna say he was gonna rob you.
Gotcha. That's kind of like South Park when Cartman like sucks Butter's dick. Remember?
Yes, vaguely. Yeah.
He puts his dick in his mouth, and then he goes to police because he always does funny shit to Butters when he's sleeping. And he goes like, look, and they're like, dude, that's like, because he put his dick in his mouth and took a picture. Because every time Butter slept over, he would like moon him. He would do this, all this stuff, and then he goes to school the next day and he shows everybody the picture, and they're like, dude, that's gay. You put his dick in your mouth, and like, so the whole episode is Cartman trying to, because I think Stan goes, well, the only way to make it not gay is you got to put your dick in his mouth. So like Cartman is trying to figure out how to get Butters alone, and like he finally does, and he like blindfolds him and he gets like the thing and like he finally puts his dick in Butter's mouth and then, like Butter's dad busts in the room.
Was so bad.
Busts in the room and he's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck are you doing?" And like Cartman runs out and like Butters gets his ass beat for it. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know what happened. It's pretty funny. It's a pretty great episode. Just ruined it, but it's great.
Do you guys have the strength for 5 more minutes?
I have the strength. I have some
Can
strength.
you do it?
Yeah.
Can you do it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dave Chappelle was doing a show, and he made some comments about the fallout from The Closer and the trans community and Netflix.
This shit makes me look crazy.
A little bit. You're like a gay Neo.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of got like this Neo vibe, like. Oh, like it changes the shape. It changes the shape of my face. Like I look like
dude.
I look like a 50-year-old biker, like overweight, trying to make it through my heroin addiction. Like, like I'm at the bar and I'm like, I'm cool, man. I'm cool. Like
cool
it does.
dude.
Yeah, you also look like you might be Asian a little bit.
Oh, that's true. Definitely true.
How you could this? And now I'm American. Like I'm white. I'm Asian. I'm white.
Yeah.
I'm Asian.
This guy's a Asian over here. This guy's he's right out of the Matrix. You look like a PS2 character.
No,
face
like
flat. The flat
yeah,
face
dude. That
from like Enter the Matrix. Yeah.
dude, I literally look like if I was actually the proper way to say it would be like I'm aight,
Well,
like I'm Asian and white.
I mean,
I'm aight.
You're pretty good. You got a flannel shirt on. You're almost a cholo. I mean,
dude, yeah, I look kind of like cholo-y. Like the light really makes it look weird too. Dude, look at this. This is fucking crazy. Is this the 5 minutes you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, yes.
Hold on.
You figured out how to do it?
Well, I'm gonna have to like fuck around with it. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but should be okay.
Like watch the stream.
All right, so
this is only the first part. Or do you have all the parts?
I have the 2 minute. This is the 2 minute version. I think it covers the pertinent part of it. It's like there's like a 5 minute clip where he talks about it, but this is like I think the end. Of it.
All right.
The transgender.
All right.
It's been said in the press that I was invited to speak to the transgender employees at Netflix, and I refuse.
What?
That is not true.
Hold on. Pause it, Sean.
If they had invited.
Yes.
Do you see the bottom right when you like it has the little volume thing? You can turn it up.
The bottom right little volume.
Do you not have that on yours?
I do not have that on mine. Oh wait, options, stop streaming, show. Yeah, I want to do that. Report wrong. No, I can't turn it up. Can you guys not hear it?
I mean, I could hear it.
I can.
No, I'm having problems because what it does when you're the host, it doesn't like it keeps going like.
Dude, just shoot the video in the chat and I'll stream it if you want.
It's okay. You just need to hear it really. So.
Although I am confused about what we're speaking about. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. My God, how could I not? You said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. Well, it seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore. I want everyone in this audience to know that even though the media frames us that it's me versus that community, that is not what it is. Do not blame the LGBTQ community for any of this shit. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say. For the record, and I need you to know this, everyone I know from that community has been nothing but loving and supporting. So I don't know what all this nonsense is about. In summer 2020, when the whole world shut down, I was outside doing shows. My neighbor had a cornfield and he let me throw shows there, and people came from all over the country. Some people came from around the world to see those shows. The best comedians on earth came to my home and broke bread with me. And we lived our lives. We found a way to keep moving forward. I made a whole documentary about it. The first night of those shows was a piece that some of you might have seen. It was called 846, and it dealt with the murder of George Floyd.
All right, well, it didn't fucking say the part that I wanted it to say, but...
Well, yeah, because I told you that's not the whole thing. Go click on the whole video.
I can't find it. Is this the whole video?
That's it.
Here's
that's
part
it.
two. Part two.
Film
Yeah,
that I
that's
made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. And when this controversy came out about the closer, they began disinviting me from these film festivals. And now, today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, nobody will touch this film. Thank God for Ted Sarandos at Netflix. He's the only one that didn't cancel me yet. To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny. I desperately want people to see this movie. But I understand why investors would be nervous. Since nobody will touch it, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will make it available for all of you in 10 American cities, going on sale in the next few days. You will be able to see this movie in its entirety, and you can see what they're trying to obstruct you from seeing. And you can judge for yourself, but you can't.
Well, that's about it.
Pretty much, there's like 20 more seconds.
Wait, what's he talking about there in this movie?
So he did this his last
World
stand-up
God
special for Netflix called The Closer, and he made what some people would consider controversial statements about trans activists, not trans people.
His last one was honestly worse.
The last one?
His one before this.
Oh yeah, well because I mean,
it was more offensive.
The Closer was basically him answering all of the criticisms he's had over the past. Like, I don't even think The Closer was like his greatest special or the funniest thing I've ever seen or anything like that. But the point of it was to just make a point. He said, "I'm going to make fun of all the things that you've just told me over the past few years. I can't, or I'm not supposed to." I mean, no,
but what's this movie that he's releasing?
So he made a documentary about during the pandemic. He did like stand-up shows in his neighbor's farm, basically.
Yeah.
And he made a documentary about it, but now that all this controversy is happening, he's finishing up the documentary, and nobody wants to distribute it. Nobody wants
Netflix, HBO Max.
They don't want to catch the heat because Dave Chappelle is in trouble with a thing. And the question about this is like, where does the actual power lie? Like, Dave Chappelle's got fuck you money. Like, he doesn't really need to care about this really at all. It probably wouldn't really affect him in any great way. Dave Chappelle is going to be able to keep being Dave Chappelle and doing what he wants to do. But it's more in principle. Like, it's more of like he's standing up so that people that are not in the position of Dave Chappelle, that maybe they'll be able to weather a storm and have the integrity of their art and their creations. It's almost like this weird fight for artistic integrity. Because like you don't want to fall to a group of activist bullies. Like, it doesn't even matter if they're trans or not. They're just activists and they're fucking bullies, and they just want a response. They just want you to come to fucking heel. So when he says like, "You will not summon me, and I'm not going to bend my knee to you," that's kind of a big thing, in a certain respect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
but too
is
bad
actually yes.
the only thing about the closer is it was a giant bending the knee. The entire thing, in a way, what I mean is like he didn't really go at them, and like he wasn't ruthless, you know.
No,
Like he tried to explain his like stuff, you know. Like instead of being like that, to me is why the closer is not really. It's good. I enjoyed the closer. I laughed. I thought it was fine, but it did not feel like he was being ruthless. Dave Chappelle being upfront and honest about like the way he sees the world.
well,
Except
he said he was Team Turf. Like that's a huge statement to make about
no,
that stuff.
yes. No, he's saying that he's team gender exists. There is a different that's what I think he was making the statement. Yes, there are men and women. There are biological differences. Like very basic. Like you're not brave, Dave. Like that's not brave. Like brave is what he did the special before, and now his response was trying to come to terms and to end it. I'm not saying I didn't like it. That's not what I'm saying. But this is what happens, I think, because the other one was arguably worse and more offensive towards trans people. It's because he showed weakness and they fucking went after him.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
like,
I did not see it as like a weakness per se. I think like it was just like, well, here's how I really feel about it, because it was not really a comedy special. Dave Chappelle's moved into the part of his career now where he holds court. He doesn't really.
I agree.
He's not like out there telling jokes. Really, he's like holding court about his opinion on the world. He's moved into a different.
That's crazy.
A different
Who the
version.
fuck would want to go see that shit?
A lot of people apparently. You saw them.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But like, I agree with you in the sense that I guess you could perceive that as him like showing a little bit of weakness, that he was going to be at least a little bit conciliatory. But I do think he wasn't going after trans people. His target is activists, is trans, not even trans, like gender activists. That's where that's the target. The target is not trans people. And if you listen to the whole special, it's clearly not. Like, and that's why he made that comment. Like, you need to have seen the whole thing if you want to talk.
No, and I think he's also like when he talks about the Stonewall people, which has been definitely, not entirely been accurate from what I hear. But like, he's like, we needed like hard gays, like real gays, like gays who had to like actually earn shit. Now you got all these privileged gays and trans people just going around. Like honestly, at the end, I think it sucks that Dave felt pressured to actually clarify. That's the real shame.
Yeah, I think like what we just watched, like while I like understand and agree with he's saying, I wish he just never addressed it and just went about his life. Like even his documentary, like Dave has the ability to just release that himself, which he's doing anyways. He doesn't need all these other things. He doesn't need a studio to come out. He could put that shit on a website and you could buy it for $10 if you wanted to. Like,
yeah, but I think
Louis C.K. Like Louis C.K. did 4 years. Like,
yeah, I agree, but I think it's also still maintaining relationships in those businesses, and who knows? I don't know. Maybe that's just the way you do shit, right? Like in the industry, he's in the industry.
It is.
That's just what happens.
But he doesn't.
So I don't think
he's above it though. He doesn't even have to do that. Like
but I think it's him being kind of shocked. I think there was a little bit of shock there. He's like, they all canceled it.
Yeah, he seemed like he's drunk too in that clip a little bit. Like he's a little, a little tipsy. But like,
maybe.
But I agree with you. I think he was actually kind of taken aback that it had. Like, I don't think you can cancel Dave Chappelle. I don't think that's really possible. He just has too much.
Obviously
power.
Not. Obviously not. Well, he did get canceled.
But it's never not going to come out.
Yeah, but he really did get canceled.
No, getting canceled from work, from being able to share your art because of a comedy special is being canceled. Being canceled is not being canceled from the internet. Like, who gives a shit? Alex Jones was never really canceled. I mean, they really, really tried. Don't get me wrong, but like
he's more canceled than Dave Chappelle.
Hey, I'm gonna step off here, guys. I gotta get to bed.
Okay,
fair enough.
I gotta wake up really early.
All
okay.
Right.
Yeah, you're good, man.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye. I don't think that he was anywhere outside of the that is the whole industry turned his back on him. And that says something. When like you're Dave Chappelle's gonna get money. Controversy or not, like he's going to generate you some sort of revenue on something that's already filmed and produced and directed. Now you just gotta share it, like, and that's an issue. So that is
well, but that's what I mean. Like the larger point is about where the actual cultural power lies in these institutions, like we've talked about before. Like that's why like this is like a great opportunity for Dave Chappelle to make his own little parallel institution, and maybe he will. You know, you never know.
I think that's something that Joe Rogan has done. That's pretty smart about Austin. Probably gonna ruin it, but that is what he's smart about Austin. Like the Kill Tonys have gotten way better in the last few weeks just because of Austin. There's a different energy. There's a different, like, you know, guys are really going out there to try. Like you see kids from like Michigan, from here, from there. And I think you're seeing like this cool, and it's way more ease of access and way less people than something like LA.
Yeah,
or
but
something.
you get people that are actually hungry, right? Like, because in LA, it's like almost a foregone conclusion that these things are available to you. I can go have my shot. In Austin, that was not a normal thing for people to be able to like share a stage with Joe Rogan or something like that, and now they can. So it's a big deal for that community.
I think for most comedians, like especially, I think Joe's talked about this, and like most comedians out there are like Brian Callen, average comedians that want to get on a TV show, be syndicated. That's why that's what it's about. Like that's what it was really. You can be like Ray Romano, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't he start out as like a stand-up comedian? Am I wrong?
No, he is a stand-up. Yeah, he still does it.
You know that. I mean, I don't fucking see his shit, but you know, like
he has a Netflix special. It's okay.
But I'm just saying, like that's what the dream was, to be Ray Romano, to be
to get a
the
deal.
fat guy from Kings of Queens. You
get a deal.
Get a deal, and I think that's the difference where guys are going there to do comedy. Like they're going there to do comedy and comedy only. And I think that's a cool thing to bring to the scene, and I'm hopeful, and that's really what these parallel institutions are about. And now, like with the governorship race up in Virginia, Youngkin, I watched some of his speeches. I wanted to get his like what kind of status is he going to be? A status is a statist to me. But at the end of the day, you look at McAuliffe. And then you look at him; they're bringing out all the guns from McAuliffe, dude. Obama, Kamala, Biden, like fucking everybody. Muhammad Ali, probably.
Yeah, nobody's. And still, their crowds are pretty small.
The crowds are not necessarily big, but also the race is tight. It's 48-48. You know, like they really don't know which way it's gonna go. But I sit there and you really hope the guy's going to come in and not do this authoritarian shit. This is going to be a part of the populist movement. But I'm saying I would expect, this is just me, he's not going to win, probably.
Probably not. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think he's going to win because I really do believe, like, people think it's a joke and it's taboo, but they have already set things in place in motion to... it's going to take weeks for the results to, like days and days for the results to come, just like they did last time, laying the groundwork for at least the ability to be a little bit questionable.
Perhaps, sure. It's obviously possible, right?
I don't buy any. I don't think our elections have been secured in probably decades, but yeah, even more now. I mean, you go back to JFK, they wanted to get, the mob helped get JFK elected. Like, like it was.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
That's just the way it's always been, so.
Fair enough. That's true. All right. Well, I guess that's an episode. That's almost 3 hours. It's a lot. It's a lot of talking.
Dan, hey, listen, I don't know, man. Shouldn't talk about Dune. Should have done its own thing.
Well, we got it in here. It's all in there. We did. It's all part of the magic. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. This is Zoobox, a podcast about nonsense, much of which you have just heard. And we'll see you guys next week. Adios.